All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode here. This is going to be a new segment we're going to be doing called CS8 Greats. And what it's going to be is me and Eric Easley sitting down and talking some CS8 baseball, some local baseball guys, stories, all kind of stuff. And I thought Eric would be the perfect person to do this with for a multitude of reasons. One, he got to see the CS8 from its inception as a player. So he was one of those dudes back in the Corey Erickson, Jason Worth era. Eric being, a standout shortstop quarterback at Southeast, went on to play at Western Illinois. And then he's also seen the CS8 for many, many years. He was the umpiring partner with Bob Erickson. So that was the umpiring crew that you always wanted to see show up, right? And then he's done coaching in the area with the Cardinals for his son. He just got to watch his son, Jace, who's at ICC now, go through the Chatham program. So he has watched so much Central Illinois baseball, so much CSA baseball, and him and I nerd out, going back and forth, texting each other, talking about these kind of things. So I thought, well, you know what, why don't we get together and talk about this? I think we're drumming up enough interest within the community for people to listen to this now and hear what him and I would have to say. And I thought it would be cool to kind of free form it too, just kind of have some names and throw it out there. And true to free form, how this kind of went was really interesting. Eric texted me on the way to his house and said, "Hey, I got a special guest showing up. Adam Feld's going to show up." And I thought, my first thought was awesome. And then I thought, I don't have a third mic with me. And I'm used to, having this really scripted out, like really structured. And I thought, oh crap, like I wanted to have Feld on at some point on his own and really give respect to his story. What this ended up turning into is kind of the Adam Feld story, impromptu. And I hope he feels like we gave him enough respect for what he went through and his experiences and whatnot. So this kind of turned into the Adam Feld story. I'm not sure if we're going to call it that or not, but really Feldy came in, got his jersey right here behind me, and we ended up talking a lot about his career. Feldy being, one of the most respected pitchers in CSA history. I mean, he won 30 straight games in high school. He's still in the top 3 in records of all the kind of things, but a really funky delivery, over the top, had a unique grip on his curveball, and went dominated at Chatham, then went to Mineral Area Community College, which I believe one of the players from the documentary Hoop Dreams, if you remember that, ended up there. So I thought that was an interesting connection, but then didn't work out there, ended up back at Lincoln Land, played 3 years for the Rifles, so probably has a lot of CICL records and Rifles records by default. The Crash Davis of the Rifles, I think Eric called him. But and then finished up at Northern Kentucky with Springer down there. And just a cool guy. He's got 3 daughters that are absolute baseball studs. I think one of them's at UIS, and then 2 are going to, his twins are going to Northern Iowa, I believe, here soon. So he's obviously doing some things right. And what I found really cool about it was that he had regrets and that he was willing to talk about them, and that he is clearly, and some of his regrets where he said he didn't work hard enough. And he's clearly passed that on, that lesson that he learned, to his daughters, I imagine, because they're getting these scholarships and they're doing really well. So it's cool when, you can take life lessons from the game and pass them on and people listen. So good on him. I thought it was awesome conversation. And actually, you're not going to hear much from me from this whole podcast because I passed my mic off to Feldy and Easley, and they kind of went at it, and I chimed in here and there, but it's really hard to hear someone off microphone. So I just kind of sat there and let it go. And it was beautiful how it turned out. I got the microphone back there at the end to ask him some questions, but this is going to be CS8 Grace. This is going to be Adam Feld. And I hope you guys enjoy. There's a lot more to come here. All right, y'all, I'm going to be talking about our sponsors a little bit before we get into this CS8 great episode behind me here. Feldy gifted me with the OG Rifles jersey. I like to put some cool stuff behind me. So shout out to Adam Feld. And anyway, shout out to our sponsors here. So I'm going to do is run down the list here. Washco Strength and Speed, the best place in town. This is Jared Washco, a firefighter. All the pros and college guys go to him. They're in conjunction with Overtime. That's the facility. That's the home of the Shamrocks. Maximize Pitching Labs is there. An incredible environment. That's where the best of the best are training right now. So go see them. Body Symmetry. This is Chad Marshak. Used to train the O'Malleys, the Knadler, can train everyone from a 90-year-old grandma to a mother wanting to get in shape to a professional athlete. Sheehan lawyers, Willie Pat Senior. Pat played ball at SCI, SHG, and U of I. Milner Dentistry, Ty Milner played ball at SCI, U of I, Rochester, is the man. Law offices of Stephen Kelly. This is Matt Brewer. They kick butt in workers' comp. He was my lawyer and got me right. Bank of Springfield. This is, of course, the Canadlers and all those baseball dudes over there. Bold Bankley, Bank Boldly with BOS. Sitco Chiropractic, some chiropractic son of a guns. Casey Kyle, love these guys to death. Their brother played at SHG and SCI. Glisson Heating and Air. They just did our home system. Did a new HVAC system for us. Incredible. He played at Plains back in the day. Glisson Heating and Air. They care about your air. Of course, Eric Easley, the realtor, is brought to you by them. The Office Sports Bar and Grill. Love this place. All the awesome memorabilia. It's an absolute vibe in there. Hammers Radon Mitigation. This is Les Hammers, Springfield firefighter, former Jacksonville great, Truman State great, BSN Sport, Adam Anderson. Go see them for all your equipment needs, uniforms. They are the man. Cardinal Cleaning, Adam Springer, absolute dude coming up for Chatham Glenwood back in the day. Played at Kentucky Wesleyan and Rend Lake. He's got a couple dudes coming up now, Ty and Bo. I want to say Ty is signed to go to Lincoln Land right now. The Crafted Stag. That's Grant Hammer. This dude's an awesome entrepreneur, family friend. My first T-ball team ever was the Hammer Slammers, so it's full circle here. Go see them. They got all kinds. It's a cool experience there, man. It's just like clothes, and you can get a drink and get your hair cut. It's for dudes, GT Performance Consulting. GT Performance Consulting. This is Greg Taylor, SHS great. Forest Park, Louisville, former guest. I looked up to him. He had some awesome stuff about going through the mental struggles that he went through. So the GT Performance Consulting is him trying to give it back to the game, and awesome. So get with him for all your mental stuff for baseball. It's a huge part of the game. You need it. Let's see, Safe House, Illinois. This is Dave House. Used to play with him coming up. This is getting your house checked out when you're going to sell it, when you need it appraised, all this stuff. They got all kinds of stuff that they do. So Safe House, Illinois with Dave House, Landfair head coach as well. Nate Guernsey, man. Nate Guernsey, the realtor. Go see him for all your real estate needs. Baller back in the day, played, baseball and basketball. I remember him more as a basketball player, but was on the Statesman doing his thing. Salvaggio Steel, you know what it is. They really invest into the sports community here. We appreciate them. Springfield Shamrocks, hey, the premier organization here in town. They're over at Overtime underneath the umbrella of Washco and Overtime. So anyway, we appreciate y'all. Here we go. You're going to enjoy this. CS8 Greats. All right, guys, welcome back. This is going to be our family support section here. So these are going to be sports families, baseball families, families that want to support us here and think they believe in what we're doing and want to see us keep going. So they're breathing life into it. So we're going to shout you guys out here. And if you have an interest, if you're listening and you want to be on the roster, like Dion says, I ain't hard to find, baby. So let's start with the Chisholm family here. This is going to be John Chisholm setting this up. John's been incredible through this whole journey for me, man. He's set up multiple sponsors, but right now I want to talk about JC3, his son, John Chisholm III, balling now, playing for the Arsenal, playing for CTK, playing travel basketball, big kid, already 6 foot plus, pitcher, got some pop, look out for him. John played at Springfield High School with me, played on the Flame with me, played a little bit at Spoon River back in the day, and is now like dad of the year, coaching everything that he can, super involved. We appreciate the Chisholm family. And a little thing that's interesting, the Cam Appenzeller episode part 1 would have never happened without John. So John had a connection with Lisa, Cam's mom, set it up. So that would have never happened without John. So appreciate you and all your support throughout the years. Next up, the Kaiser family. They've been rocking with us since day one. This is Ryan, my guy, huge Cubs fan. Has his whole garage set up like Wrigley Field. There's ivy and stuff, so you can watch games there. Cool experience. He's also got a rap album coming out, so my guy's got bars. Mandy, the wife, is a coach extraordinaire. She's been doing stuff with the Arsenal for years. She's incredible with the stat book. Addie is their daughter. She's coming up playing coach pitch. Looks like I'm going to coach her next year. Excited about that. Landon, their middle school slugger, middle infielder,
slash outfielder coming up over there with the Arsenal and Franklin. So we appreciate you guys. Look out for them. Next up is the Owen family. This is going to be Tyler Owen, my college teammate at Murray State, an all-time racer, great third baseman, all OVC multiple times. Was kind of one of those guys that was on the fringe of being like pro worthy, you know. But his brother made it to the show. Right now, he's coaching at high school at North High School in Indiana. He's got twins coming up, Everett and Ellis. They play for the South Gibson Heat out there. So we appreciate the Owen family. Go check them out. Next up is going to be the Erickson family. This is going to be Casey Erickson specifically and his guys. I think we're going to transition it to his team at some point, but right now I'm shouting out these guys. Casey, obviously, former guest, my boy, all-time, CS8 great, Springfield great. Now the head skipper at Glenwood, played at Glenwood, SCI, Pirates organization, Yankees. Absolute baseball dude. He's got some sluggers coming up. We got Lane, Tripp, Cooper. All these guys can swing it. Look incredibly talented. So that next wave of Ericksons is coming through. So they're going to be problems. We appreciate the Erickson family. Next up is another baseball family. This is going to be the Knadlers, specifically Jason. Jason being a former guest, my boy, El Jefe at BOS now. Really appreciate him. Melissa, the CEO of the K team. She's awesome. We got Colt, former guest. He's had two parts now, all-time CS8, Glenwood quarterback. Chose to go baseball. So going to Lincoln Land, really cool. Claire is a super athlete coming up. Stud volleyball player. Been on the varsity since a freshman. CJ, I heard he is the clown prince of the family. He's the next Joe Knadler. Funny, but also talented, playing some baseball too. Next up is the Steinwart family. This is Jim, June, Johnny, TJ, Nikki. Jim being my high school coach at Springfield High. He's a Hall of Famer. He's won state titles. He has supported the podcast in so many different ways. He has been awesome with the stats. He has all the stats going back to the birth of the CS8 and beyond. So the fun thing that we do is Jim has a flip phone, so can't send me pictures. So June, it's a tag team effort. I contact Jim. I say, hey, I need this. June texts me back, and that's how we do it. So appreciate June. Jim out there. Johnny was a stud at UIS. He's out there at Plains coaching now. I see TJ with the flow drumming. Shout out to Nikki as well. Last up is going to be the McCarthy family here. This is Katie set this up. She went to SHG. She's got a young stud coming up, Brady Keating, who's now a quarterback slash linebacker in the SHG system, coming up on the JV and freshman teams. Also a stud pitcher, does stuff at Maximize Pitching Labs. Her dad was an absolute dude back in the day with a rich athletic history, did all the sports at SHG, and then played at SCI and golfed at Western. This is our family section. We really appreciate you guys. Could not do this without you. So thank you for your support. We'll keep it rolling.
All right, guys, here we go. Post game spread. We're back. This is going to be a whole new segment, I guess, that we're going to do with my man Eric Easley here. And kind of what we're going to be doing is looking back on just all kinds of stuff, CS8 baseball, Central Illinois baseball, and I thought there would be no one that has seen it in the way that this guy has, or very few that have seen it like him. Eric was a standout at Southeast back in the day, quarterback, shortstop in the kind of the Corey Erickson era. Would you call it that? Is it fair to call it that?
That's in the Corey Erickson, Jason Worth era.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they kind of bled into each other there, but then moved on to Western Illinois, played for the Leathernecks, and then also saw CSA baseball in other ways. As a longtime umpire, you and Bobby Erickson were everyone's favorite crew for many, many years.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
that means we called a lot of strikes and
done a lot of coaching. Watched it a lot. Now just watched your son roll through Chatham, so got to see that too. So you've seen so many different eras of baseball through the umpiring, through the playing, through the coaching. And I thought, who else could I nerd out with more than you? Right. So, and we text all the time talking about CSA baseball.
Probably too much, but now that we get together, it's probably gonna be more.
Yeah. So anyway, before we do get going, we're still kind of working on a running title of this, but this is going to be brought to you by my man is a realtor over here, and he's been sponsoring us. We appreciate you. So Eric Easley and the real estate team, what do we got going on right now? I know the winter months might be tough in the
always. However, if people are looking at selling in the spring, now's a good time to get an evaluation done of your home. And there's not a lot of inventory. So those that do list and price right, they usually sell fast depending on the price point. But for the most part, getting an agent to work for you, both on the buyer's end and the listing end, is the only way to go. Because I know when I go into I don't pull teeth in my bathroom, I go hire a dentist, and same way I look at it with selling a house, and there's so many little things that can cost tens of thousands of dollars just by one little error on a contract. So hire professionals, and Caitlin Fry, who is her father-in-law's father would be Jerry Fry, played for the Expos.
Yeah.
The baseball just doesn't stop in this town.
Yeah.
And Caitlin's dad, Jeff, was I think he's in the Bowling Hall of Fame. So
we're talking about your team members right now?
Yep. Caitlin Fry, yep. And so it's nonstop sports, whether we're doing real estate or talking to Blake. So and this guy's the reason why everybody's getting a microphone in their hand every once in a while now, which kudos to you for bringing people's stories to light, because there's so many guys that deserve this. I don't believe I'm one of them, which is what we're going to talk about. I would love to help Blake as much as he's willing to let me help talk about other guys.
Yeah.
Because from what I saw, and he's been such a professional with how you've developed this, man. I'm excited to see where this goes for you.
I appreciate the praise, my brother, and I do think your story is worthy of getting on here and talking about it someday. But right now, I can't wait to talk some baseball with you, and it's been quite a journey. And you've been awesome too, offering me advice throughout this whole thing, and I really appreciate you as a friend and kind of like a mentor in ways. So appreciate you, my brother, and I can't wait to get into this. We've been talking about doing this, and here we are on this lovely evening. We got this beautiful backdrop here.
It was 15 minutes. I can do wonders with a house, and 15 minutes I can do wonders with a stage.
We got the fire kicking here, and we got a special guest coming here soon.
Apparently, we'll see. Well, maybe two, but hopefully for sure one. Who is my recommendation when I know you sent out the who do we need to talk about?
Yeah, for sure.
And when we talk about the evolution of travel baseball in this area, I mean, Dennis Worth was kind of at the forefront of it. Bob Erickson was at the forefront of it. And this goes back to when we were 8 years old. We moved into Corey League, and just a little short summary with Jason Worth and Todd Schneller. Their dads really grew the travel baseball from that into the Springfield Flame, which was really the first pillar of Springfield, Illinois travel baseball, because that team was the reason that the Paducah Storms stopped coming to town.
Flame is so special in Springfield history.
Because Feldy went down to Paducah and shoved it and hit a couple of bombs, and 21-0 later, Paducah never showed back up to Springfield. And the legend just grew from there.
There's so many names that have been through that Flame program too. I got to be on the Flame for 2 years, and it was an absolute honor. I thought, like, okay, I'm on the Flame now. I get to go to the big leagues like all these other guys. You know, like Jason Worth did it. Everyone.
You know what's funny though? I mean, it was like a right to go play college baseball, and you did just that.
Yeah.
So,
for sure. So keep going. Sorry, I didn't want to.
No. It was, and that, I mean, I think that was kind of the staple that then grew into from the Statesman to the Sun. I mean, that Sun team that had O'Malley and the Canadlers,
loaded,
and
Randy Rice,
Jacobson and Randy Rice. I mean, that team was loaded. That team was just a year younger than us.
Yeah.
So all those guys weren't good enough to make the Flame team the year before, which I say that's the craziest part about that level, is you watch the guys who weren't good enough to make the team before, and half of those guys end up playing big league ball, or professional baseball.
So did your variation of the Flame, it went beyond like 7th and 8th grade? Was it high school stuff too?
So we had guys that had baseball birthdays, right? The evolution of baseball birthdays, and Feldy was one of the first ones to have that. So was Schneller and a couple of the other guys that played with us. But I think Feldy went 8-1 for Chatham varsity his freshman year. His only loss was 2-1 to Drew Cheney in Southeast, which ended up being his only loss in his entire career. And after he was done with that, then comes back to us and throws from 54 feet.
And you said, we were just talking before this started, that he was 6'2" and had a really funky, intimidating windup, so think about that.
Playing shortstop behind him from 54 feet was the most boring shortstop I've ever played in my entire life. Just standing there going, Brad Swoboda played second base.
Yeah.
I remember Brad and I having more conversations about what we were going to do after the game.
Really?
When he was on the mound, because I say that half jokingly, but with Worth catching, Feld on the bump, and from 54 feet, good luck.
Why was we'll circle back to the travel ball stuff. But why was Feldy so special? Like I only know him by numbers and obviously dominance. You know, I think he went 30 games without getting beat, 30
Yeah.
consecutive wins.
What,
I mean,
I
I
mean,
didn't get more dominant than
I
that.
don't think there's a more decorated
Yeah.
pitcher in all of Cincinnati baseball. You have a guy that helped lead his team to a state runner-up his junior year, with Todd McClure, I think, being the other starter on that team, and Crawford coming out of the pen. I mean, that team was so good,
loaded,
and we beat him that year, by the way, in conference play.
Okay,
Pat Trees beat him.
Was Springer on that team?
Springer was on that team. Yep.
Okay.
They got second Adam, I think. I remember him hitting a couple long foul balls. And
he was known to have some juice in his bat.
Adam could swing it, and that team was just so good. There was, I think, Keith Ramsey was on that team, but they go all the way to the state championship game, get beaten, and the following year they come back and just mow through everyone with Adam at the helm and Jay Crawford as their two.
So, in the pictures, really cool. Like I love kind of like interesting movers in baseball, and like he's like way leaning back, and the arm angle is like really funky but over the top.
I don't like to use the word intimidating because we're all such competitors. Like, we don't ever want to tell someone that they were intimidating, but he was as close as you could get to it. And the crazy part was the ball snuck up on you. It wasn't, I mean, I think he topped out around 84, but it felt like 94.
Really?
Because, and coming out of his hand, he had the biggest 12-6 hook. You watch Adam Wainwright?
Yeah.
I mean, that was Feldy's 12-6 hook.
Okay, so that was his.
And it was coming from
cookie with that
up here. And once you saw that, it looked ball coming out of his hand.
Right.
And so you can only look fastball.
Right.
And so either you looked fastball and he was running up something inside, or he's got a huge hook and he had a good changeup.
Yeah.
So he was a nightmare to hit. And I still joke with him because I don't know how many no-hitters he had, but he should have had one against us that year too, which we ended up finished second in the conference.
Yeah.
I mean, people forget Southeast baseball used to be pretty good.
I know it's hard for people to believe that now, but you guys had some dogs there.
Even through
Charles Holloway.
Well, that was Landfear, but
sorry.
No, you're good. But Charles was excellent too. I mean, Charles was at Landfear when I was at Southeast. Charles was a great shortstop.
I'm embarrassed.
Pitched. No, you're good. I'm
sorry, Charles. I respected you, man. You had thunder in your bat, my brother.
Charles was really good.
Absolutely.
And he was always my age, and saw him kind of growing up through the I think he was at Fairview. So he was at Fairview. Matt Nunn was at Fairview.
The Nuns, yeah. Speaking of, Matt Nunn's going to be a guest.
Thank goodness, Matt. We'll
talk about that in a little bit.
Let's
keep going on Feldy.
But for sure, because Matt was on that team.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Flames, so you got Matt Nunn on that team.
Yeah.
Worth, you have Schneller, you have Brad Sabota, who ended up at Colorado State playing football. Everybody,
absolute football legend.
Yeah, and I just saw Ken Leonard at dinner on the other, I think it was last week, up at the creek, and I just turned. I said, "Hey Ken, who was your craziest linebacker you ever had?" He goes, "Todd Schneller, hands down."
Really?
Schneller was a nightmare. He would walk into the Memorial Stadium with a 2x4 on his shoulder, and then
like some wrestling
and then would talk to you the whole game as you're trying to call cadence. Didn't
he just he wasn't very big too, right?
Todd wasn't small, but he wasn't very big. And he was a baseball birthday.
Yeah.
Because he graduated high school at 17.
He's the guy that did all the video recently, right?
Yes. Yep.
Oh yeah. So if you guys haven't checked it out, he basically went back and like archived all kinds of like incredible CS8. Is it mainly football though?
Yeah, mainly football. Yep.
Yeah, but like it's incredible. It's out there on YouTube. I don't have a link or anything, but go check it out. I'm sure you can find them.
Yeah.
It sounds like we got a visitor.
And you never know who's going to walk into my house at times, and I really don't know which one this is. We're going to find out real quick.
What energy am I feeling?
He's pretty quiet, so I'm going to go
with.
There's an Adam Feld sighting. Adam,
hey,
out of respect for you, I'm going to get up.
No. Pull up. Sit right here. What's up, man? Hey, we're live on video right now.
Adam, Blake.
What's up, dude? Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping in, man.
We can do it later. So, hey, guys, I'm going to hand the microphone over to these OGs for a second, but we were just talking kind of like the birth of travel ball in Central Illinois, Springfield area. We were getting into Flame, and we were talking about your mechanics and like the pictures. And, you know, I've seen up here, and we and you were texting the other day, and you're like, yeah, there's a reason I can't lift my arm above my head anymore. And yeah. So here, let me pass this off to you because they can't hear you.
Here
we go.
And Feld, I told him, I said, with the birth of travel baseball around Springfield, you were the reason that the Paducah Storm stopped coming to town. I said, we went down there and Adam shoved it up their tail, hit a couple bombs, and 21-0 later or something, we never saw him again.
Yeah, I played him as my first year with the Flame as a 13-year-old.
Mhm.
When we just kind of it was kind of an all-star team. So you got to, put an all-star team together. And they came up in the state tournament and beat us that year.
And you and Jason were 13 that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were the only 13-year-olds on that older Flame team.
And actually got beat by a guy, Josh Stewart, who ended up playing for the White Sox, pitching the White Sox, pitching the big leagues. Next year, the Flame, like the Flame.
The Flame.
Yeah, we went down to Paducah and played them.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was when I could still actually hit a little bit.
Well, you were just coming off of an 8-1 high school season. And or 7-1. You pitched.
No, it was my freshman year.
Yeah,
so
but
I pitched a little bit, not a ton of varsity.
But you only lost that year was to Drew Cheney, right?
That would have been the next.
That was next year. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
I pitched varsity.
But you pitched varsity.
Year, yeah.
Yeah.
At 60 feet, and then came back and just started.
that was my point. Yeah,
started going to 50, went back to 54.
It took him a month. It took him a month to get his curveball figured out.
It was fun. Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So that Storm game, I think I struck out 19 in 7 innings.
That sounds about right.
Had 2 homers.
Yeah, I told him it was the most boring shortstop I've ever played in my life. I'm talking to Sabota about what we're doing after the game because we have no chance of getting a ground ball.
I can remember like practicing at Schlip Park, and that year, I was one of those kids who matured fairly early. So I was, I was 6'2", 185 pounds when I was 14, and like just taking BP, and I missed it. I was like missing balls, and they were going out. It was fun. I mean, like it was a video game or something. Yeah, it was one of my. It was some of the most fun I've ever had playing baseball. A lot of it had to do with because I could still hit a little bit. And that was fun to pitch and be able to hit. Shortly thereafter, my hitting days were over.
But Adam's sitting in the 6-7 spot, just hitting jacks over houses at Fairview Park.
Yeah. It was a good time. The mechanics thing, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, certainly no one ever taught me that. And I look back, like I have some video of. I think like the earliest I have video of myself pitching is like 13, and it wasn't quite as I kind of reared back a little bit, still had a high leg kick, and it just progressively just got to where it was. Yeah, and I think looking back, I think it certainly probably cost me some velocity. I don't think anyone ever changed it because I threw strikes.
That's what I told him.
I didn't walk anybody, and so I was throwing strikes. I wasn't wild, so.
You talk about lefties hiding the ball, like for a righty, like that was, you couldn't see it coming out of your hand until you were right up on you, and to have a 12-6 curveball to go with it made it almost freaking impossible to get a barrel on. Yeah,
so and I think as I got older, and certainly when I got into college, I had some guys. There was always concerns about me when I was pitching from the stretch, as far as holding runners on. Luckily I had Jason behind the plate, so it didn't really matter.
You didn't walk people.
Still pretty long.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I tried to do some things, like, some slide steps and that sort of thing, to try to quicken it up, but I was still like, long arm action. But I didn't have to be that quick because
nobody was ever on base.
That helped too. And that was kind of the philosophy, like, if you don't have anybody on base, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
As I got,
okay.
As I got older and, tried to fix things, or, when I say fix things, try to get a little bit more, maybe a little more balanced and not leaning back so far. My arm angle dropped, and I was still trying to throw 12-6 curveballs with a 3/4 arm slot, and it just didn't. So I struggled. I struggled for a while as far as that, and to try to be comfortable finding something. And by the time I was done, I was probably more like, fastball. I call it a slider, but it was
Slurve,
not really. It was like, you know,
little cutter,
maybe a sweeper.
sweeper. Yeah.
I just tried to rip it as hard as I could, and my curveball was effective when I was younger, and especially in high school. I didn't throw it very hard. I don't know my velocity on my curveball.
It was your changeup.
He was talking about how devastating it was.
Yeah, it was too slow, and I remember, in my freshman year in college, it was like I got by. The first year I thought I'm really in trouble was the summer after my freshman year in college. I played for the Rifles.
Man played for the Rifles for 3 summers.
Long time. In that summer, I
Crash
was
Davis of the Rifles.
Yeah, it was that summer. I ended up, I was at Mineral Area Junior College in Missouri. Decided after the season was over, like a week into the summer, to transfer to Lincoln Land. And I was actually playing for the Chatham American Legion summer, because I was young enough. I could still play Legion ball after my freshman year of college. And I transferred to Lincoln Land, and as soon as I did that, Coach Crace was like, "Yeah, come pitch for the Rifles." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." And then I got there, and I was, so that my slow curveball was exposed real quick.
But that's what's wild to me though, because your birthday, you almost could have been a sophomore the year you got second in state.
Yeah.
You could have been a junior the year you won state.
Yeah, for sure.
God help everyone if you had another year of high school baseball.
Yeah, I think I might be 2 months older than Jay.
Yeah.
So I didn't turn 18 until
Jay Crawford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't turn 18 until my freshman year of college.
And
Yeah.
Because you and Schneller graduated high school at 17.
He might be like a week or two, maybe a week older than I am. He was like in August.
Looking back at the personalities with that group from Schneller, I was telling him, we meet Jeff Cox and he's got reggae music going on, and Coxie was such a character, and then Swoboda was just a wild card.
Yes.
And then you had Jason, who was still a child, with his glasses, and I mean, Jason hit one home run that year, and it hit the top of the fence and went over. In the mid. No, he was just good. He was just steady, good, but wasn't.
I always remember about Jason. We had a tryout for that Flame team, and I went to this tryout, and of course I had heard about Jason. Not as much there wasn't as much. It was just kind of word of mouth. Like, this kid, he's from Rochester. He's going to Rochester at the time. Like, got this great ball player, and he showed up at tryouts. I was like,
him?
Which one? Like, that's him. That? Like, I think he was like 5'4", maybe. I mean, he was tiny.
Yeah, him and I were about the same size. And Schneller was probably put together more than anybody.
And I think even through that year, he grew a little bit.
Huh?
And I'm trying to think where you had posted a picture of him and Jay recently. And even that picture, he looks way different. That was a senior year. He looks way different in that picture than he did the year before.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, he looks like a man in that picture.
His senior year,
like, where his junior year, he was maybe 6'3", maybe 160 pounds.
Yeah,
he's still really, really good. Yeah. Yeah. And again, like, even as a junior, I don't think, even Jason's junior year, my senior year, obviously he was a very, very good player. And had you said, like, he has a chance to make it to the big leagues, I don't think anyone's going to dispute it. But no one saw 15-year big leaguer that thought he's going to go play Division I baseball somewhere and he'll get a shot after that.
After he puts on some weight, after he develops.
And then that next year, he just had that huge, and he had, like, the best season of all time as a senior.
and I compare the year that you were a senior to, there was a big drop off in terms of talent. I mean, I do believe that. However, if Jason got fooled his junior year, he keeps his hands back and he drives a line drive over the second baseman's head into right center and drives in a run. His senior year, he keeps his hands back with a wood bat in his hand and gets fooled and drives a ball into the railroad tracks at Lanphier Park.
Yeah.
That was the difference.
Yeah, one of my favorite Jason stories from that year, because I was playing, so I didn't get to see a ton. I was actually driving home from school, coming on the frontage road in Chatham, and I drive by the field and they're playing. So I pull in, just watch a game. They're playing Hillsboro.
Tyler Shelton, yeah. Okay.
Back in the day when they played.
Another name.
We played some smaller schools back in the day. I get there and it's like 4-4 in the 7th. It's tied. I'm like, man, and Jason's on deck. He sees me. He comes over and says hello, and he's not even paying it. He's not even watching the game, right? And he's up next, and he's like, oh shoot, I gotta go hit. I'm gonna go hit a homer and end the game. First pitch, homer, gone.
Sounds about
No
right.
game.
What, he hit 15 that year?
Yeah,
Something.
at least, I think it might have been more than that. It might have been 16 or
Our
17.
team didn't hit 15 home runs that year at Southeast.
17 homers in
Yeah.
30 games. I think the most amazing stat of that year, because he hit 620 or something. I think he scored like 80 runs.
Yeah,
in 30
because he let off
in 30 games.
He let off.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Moomy let him off that year.
Yeah,
because he was just, it was either going to be on
twice,
base,
pitch to him once. Yeah,
either going to be on base, or he was going to touch home plate at some point.
Yeah.
But back to you, because I don't think you take enough credit, because Adam's the most humble person ever, and Adam would never reach out to anybody, I'm sure, about what his accomplishments are or were, because I've been behind you, I've been in front of you, and I'd much rather be behind you than in front of you on the baseball diamond. But I don't think I never saw, because I umpired long enough to see it from every angle. In my opinion, there was no one better than you in all of Central City baseball.
I appreciate that.
And I've seen guys that have done really well. I never saw Reed Detmers. I never saw the Maytons. I can't compare those guys to him, but you were the best.
Well, I can say I saw Phil Mayton a lot. Phil was pretty good.
Oh,
Phil was really good, and that was when I was in a freshman coach at Glenwood at the time when he was there. Phil was really good. His little brother was pretty good. Very, very good. Actually, I shouldn't say pretty good. He was very good. Yeah, I mean, I'm older now, and I can appreciate it a little bit more.
And that doesn't take away from anyone else, including like a Casey Erickson.
For sure.
Casey was so good. But the guys that you had to face, I saw the players that he had to face, and you leading the Chatham team in 2 classes to a AA runner-up, and then a state championship game, or a state championship trophy. I mean, no one has ever done that around here.
I guess I didn't really think about it at the time. Of course, I got really, really lucky, and I had a lot of good players that I played with, and a lot of good players at the time.
But they only had to score 1 run.
I threw every pitch in high school I played. Every pitch in high school I threw was caught by a guy who played professional baseball.
100%.
Nate Cohen the first 2 years, and then Jason. Jason. Aside from my sophomore year when I threw to Nate, when Nate caught a lot, or caught every game, Jason basically caught every pitch I threw from 13 to 18.
True.
And at the time, I didn't really think much of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really appreciate it. And I didn't appreciate it until I had to throw to somebody else.
Ironically,
and it was way, way different, and it was nice to have, Jason and I had an unspoken language.
Mm-hmm.
They're always like, does Jason call the game, or do you call the game? I was like, I don't really know.
Yes.
He just throws something down, and that's what I want to throw.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, every so often, I would look in the dugout, look at Coach Moomy for some advice, and he would say, "This was our sign: curveball, fastball." That's what he would do from the dugout.
There was no hat,
there was no deception. I'd look in there and be like, when we couldn't just, I was like, I'm not sure what I want here. I just look in, boom, like that. Or
and oh, by the way, when your catcher's getting home, he's talking about what pitches you're throwing with the next big league catcher.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean,
and it was something we talked about a lot.
Yeah.
And that was something that was part of the game that I enjoyed.
But that's all we knew.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And again, I've been asked many times who's the toughest guy you ever faced. I'm like, hands down, you're the only guy I never wanted to see on the mound, because I knew we had to score 2 runs against you, and that was going to be almost impossible. And half the players were defeated when you were warming up, which was part of what Chatham baseball, I think, became, because of the McClures and because of the Saps and the Felds and the Worths, and this Clayton's and all the guys that Eric. I mean, go on.
Yeah, it was
Matons, Detmers,
and I think it's still the same. I'm not as close to the program as I used to be. But I grew up going to baseball games, going to Glenwood baseball games. My friends and I played wiffle ball in the backyard, and we weren't. I wasn't like I was. We pretended we were Brian McClure. That's who we pretended to be.
Isn't that wild?
And they had really, really good teams, and they made some runs and kind of got beat some sectional championship games, some really, really good teams. So when we got there, when I got up there, it was like we just wanted to be that. You wanted to be that team that broke through.
Yeah.
And it took a couple of years, but finally as the juniors, finally in my junior year we did.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but those guys, did they play in A versus Double A? They were Double A as well. But still probably one of the smallest 2A teams in the state.
I know, like the school my senior year, the school we played in the state championship game, I think had maybe almost 5,000 kids in the high school.
Yeah.
Wabanzi Valley. And then in fact, the next year they split into 2 high schools.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was terrifying.
Feldy, I want to hear.
Yeah.
So I've been putting out these posts on Facebook,
yeah.
right? Was that, you got a big reception? People really wanted to talk about you. Was that cool, or what was that?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, 47 now, and I can appreciate it for what it is, for what it was. There was certainly a long time where I was not. I wouldn't say I wasn't proud of it, but when we talked about my high school career, inevitably the next step was, hey, what you do in college? And that was something that I wasn't real happy about. Yeah, for sure. I think there was, there were some missed opportunities. And it took a long time for me to realize that it was my fault. I blamed a lot of, I'm not anybody specific. There were some things I wish I would have done differently, for sure. I wish I would have worked a lot harder. I wish I would have gotten in the weight room and lifted weights and took it a little bit more serious. And I didn't. And I was actually just talking to somebody the other day about your podcast, and like what I appreciate about listening to these stories, the Knadlers, Ryan O'Malley, was, I think the common theme with lots of these guys was like, they were going to do whatever it took to make it. And they weren't going to stop until they were going to exhaust everything they had. And if they didn't, so be it. If they didn't make it, so be it. And I can't say that about myself. And, it's hard. It's hard to take for a long time. I think I'm past it. It only took about 30 years. But I think I'm okay with it now.
So interestingly enough, though, with that being said, you dominated all those guys in high school. I mean, and those guys, I mean, with that being said, I don't think you realize how many people you motivated to think, you know what, I'm not good enough. Because when you faced them and you made us all look like children at the plate, and we all had, a lot of guys had a lot of success elsewhere.
Yeah.
You don't like to be the match that lit everyone else, but you did. And so without people like you, I don't think we have a lot of guys that do go down that path.
I think that was one of the things that was, for me personally, that was a little frustrating, was that, when I was going through the recruiting process, I was getting some looks for, some Division I looks for, SIU, Carbondale, Northern, Western. Mm-hmm. Just a little here and there, not a lot. And I kept on thinking, like, all these other hitters that are going to Division I, I'm getting them out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't have anything to confirm this. My best guess is, going back to mechanics, I think a lot of guys looked at me and didn't think that would play at the next level. So and looking back on it, I had a chance to go to SIU Carbondale, and had I had it to do all over again, I would have done that. I think just to know,
Maybe you could have gotten straightened out.
Yeah. Just to know, just
your senior year in high school, you would have got out most Division I teams. I saw most of their lineups. Your senior year, you probably would have.
And I think that was
would have went 500 at worst.
So like I remember, talking to Coach Callahan at the time, and he was pretty high on me. And he kind of made the same comment, like, I think you could pitch here now. Their pitching coach at the time, I don't think was as high on me. So I remember thinking that, like, I don't really want to go to a place where the pitching coach doesn't really think I can pitch.
Right.
So I thought, well, I'll go to, I kind of got sold a bill of goods at the Miller area. And like, hey, come here, pitch for a year and do well. And then you can go and step right in. It just didn't really, it just didn't happen that way. And then, transfer back to Lincoln Land. And then, I had a decent sophomore year, but nothing like, nothing special. So I wasn't like lighting the world on fire with numbers or stats, or, I was a righty and I was throwing 86, 87 miles an hour.
Imagine if you were left-handed.
Yeah. Trust me, I've thought about it a lot.
Jay Crawford comes to mind. That we love Jay, and Adam was, obviously the one, and Jay was the two, and Jay, I think both of you made each other that much more effective.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you had to see one of them on Tuesday and the next one on Thursday.
Yeah.
And you either saw, 85 from the right-hand side and a big 12-6, or you saw a lefty coming at you that threw nothing straight.
Yeah. And I think, and Jay and I were good friends. And, there was never anything like said between the two of us, but I think there was certainly some friendly competition there too.
Sure.
Like we wanted to, if one of us threw a good game, we wanted to do better, for each other, that sort of thing.
He's still the only guy that's winked at me while I was leading off at first base.
That's not surprising.
I'm like, did he just wink at me? I'm probably. I just remember him winking at me at first base.
This guy is known as a clown prince of baseball. I need to hear some Speedies to him.
You got any?
I'm trying to think if I told this one on his podcast. I don't want to retell it if I did, but okay. One of this just kind of sums up Jay. I think it sums up Jay. When Jay was a sophomore, Adam Springer was a senior, and as is Glenwood tradition, and I went to a game this year and they still do it. You run out to center field before the game and you get a big circle and you stretch. Stretch. We just we just kind of sat there and bullshit.
Right.
And every time Jay would run out there, if Adam was already out there, or if Jay was already out there, when one of them got out there, Adam would go over and pick him up and body slam him, just for no reason. Then no one said anything. Jay didn't say anything. Adam didn't say anything. He just pick him up, and body slam him, and move on. And we kept stretching. That was the routine. Not a violent body slam. He was going to hurt him, but it was a body slam.
It was a good body slam.
So Adam graduates. Jay's a junior. I'm a senior, and we're out there stretching. And I go, Jay, it's like the first week of practice. I go, you got to pick somebody, and you got to continue this tradition. You got to pick somebody, right? But you got to be smart about this, right? So here comes, so Jay picks kid, he's a sophomore. I go, you got to pick somebody younger. Sophomore, CJ Logan. Their CJ was finished third in the state in wrestling. And that's who Jay picked to try to buy us. And let's just say the tradition ended that day because I think CJ was. I don't think he moved him, and I think CJ just put him at a headlock, and that was it.
It's probably a better choice than Skip Clayton, but still.
I think if Skippy would have been out there, that would have been the best. I don't even think Skip was on varsity. Yeah, it was like halfway through the year.
Either way, Jay was in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. So that was, as I stopped being, as I kind of transitioned into a pitcher only, and Jay was a pitcher only, and we played on the same summer team, and so we would, we were kind of the dugout, we dugout buddies and, sat down next to each other and talked about baseball and talked shit to guys and made fun of people. And that was kind of our thing. And that's kind of where we kind of got close.
Was Jay the first 14-year-old PO in history?
He might have been. It was certainly something that wasn't normal. I don't we had never heard of it back then. I don't think
there wasn't a name for it.
There wasn't a label back then, but I don't think it was ever a discussion.
No.
It just came on and started.
Jay was there to pitch.
So that's one of my favorites. He would.
I think he got a couple ABs.
We were actually. I
was
actually just talking about that with a friend of mine the other day. We used to go to, and I think some high school teams do it still. Like you go down to Busch Stadium and play a game, and we played Lincoln towards the end of the year. And I think Jay got in a bat. And he
was still pretty good. I mean, Lincoln had Josh Komnick. And,
they were good.
Good.
But Jay, it was an exhibition game. Sure. So like everybody's getting in the game. So I think Jay might have even been a freshman. But so Jay's in Busch Stadium and he did.
Got an AB?
Willie? Yeah, I did Willie.
Oh, Jay.
So, and Jay he was a groomsman at my wedding. Jay was, and I remember sitting like in the back room waiting to get going, and I was like kind of pacing. You're a little nervous, and somebody's like, Jay, you got any do some of your impressions. So Jay did all of his baseball impressions for about 30 minutes before I got married. So I always remember that. That was pretty funny.
Well, and that turned out okay. Now you get a couple twins that have been pretty successful in softball, right?
Yeah, they're doing well. Yeah, it's been a lot.
About that? I keep seeing pictures.
Yeah. So they're Sydney and Sophia. They're juniors at Glenwood right now. Committed to go play at University of Northern Iowa in Cedar Falls. So we're really excited about it. Excited they got a chance to go play together. That was always they decided about a year ago that it was always kind of back and forth up in the air if they wanted to, they're going to go try to, explore, separate opportunities, that sort of thing. So they decided they want to play together, and that's kind of what we put out there to everybody. And awesome. I was nervous. September 1st is the big day in high or in recruiting. September 1st, your junior year. So I was kind of nervous about if some schools are going to call one and not the other, and how we're going to handle that. And it's never easy, still to this day, it's never easy when that sort of thing happens with twins. But every school that called Sid called Sophia, so it worked out pretty well. Went on a couple visits, and we went to Northern Iowa, and it was like one of those, like they just kind of knew.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
And then I understand there was one game that there was 5 Felds on the team.
There was
or on the field.
Yeah, so their freshman year, never got all 5 of them on the field at the same time.
Okay.
Because my daughter Sid got mono towards the end of the year.
Okay.
And kind of, but my brother has twins. My older brother has twins who are sophomores in college. One's at Lakeland and one's at UIS.
Saw him at the grocery store the other day.
Yeah. And his youngest is a senior at Glenwood this year. So my daughter's freshman year, there was five on the varsity. Yeah.
5 Felds.
So there was a couple times where 4 of them played in the same, but we never got all 5.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I stopped. So, I mean, this is where local baseball just doesn't stop. I think they were in 8th grade. I'm coming back from Kansas City, and for some reason we were texting, and I'm like, "Oh, what the hell?" He's like, "Hey, we're right off. We're right on the way home. Stop by." I'm like, "Okay." I stopped off, and they were 8th graders, I think, at the time, or 7th or 8th graders.
Playing 14.
And I'm looking and going, "Geez, these kids just every year they bigger, stronger, faster." I'm like, I'm not even sure if I could play at this level.
It was funny because we had played like one of those days we got in the you get in the Sunday, get in the bracket, and you had to play a million games, and we get in the championship game, and you kind of ran out of gas a little bit, and we were down like 7-0 or something when Eric was there, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna head back," and then like 45 minutes later, we scored like 8 in the bottom of the 7th to win it.
Yeah, clearly, it was a good thing I left because that was the rally that they needed.
Text them, "You're never gonna believe this. We just won that game." So it's I coached them up until they were 13, 14. They went to a team out of St. Louis, an organization out of St. Louis, and actually just changed again this year to another team down there. And so it's been good. I miss coaching for sure. I wasn't sure how I was gonna. I'd rather be in the dugout than not, to be honest.
Yeah, you get a little more control that way.
Yeah, for sure. but it's nice sometimes to be a dad, and I still work with them, and we still hit all the time, and it's been really cool just being able to spend that time with them, and I finally learned how to. We finally have figured out how to go and hit and not yell at each other.
Yeah.
Well, and it was mainly me finally figuring it out and not being such a dummy.
What's the secret?
We talk about, again, it's not always perfect, because if they're watching this, then they're probably like, what? It's not always perfect, but we always try to talk about like what we're going to work on, before we hit. And then I try like, hey, let's work on this today, or we'll whatever. And then I try just keep my mouth shut after that. And sometimes they'll just say, Dad, just shut up and pitch. Just shut up and throw. Okay. That's my reminder. And we just go, and then after, they take a round and we'll say, how'd it feel? What do you think? And that sort of thing. So it's been, I really enjoy that part of it. It's been really fun.
You didn't have the luxury of just telling Corey Erickson to take your child every time and just go, hey, just go to Uncle Corey and hit.
It's, I think that was the, for me as a coach, especially, that was something, especially when I started coaching baseball. Not that I was a hitting expert by any means, but I felt more comfortable. Even when I first started coaching high school, I felt more comfortable talking about hitting than I could explain anything about pitching, because I didn't know, I didn't know how to explain it.
Because it's hard to explain what you could just do.
Yeah. And kids would talk about like, how do I, couldn't get a fastball here, couldn't get a fastball there. Like, how'd you get on the outside corner?
You're like, just do it. Yeah.
I don't know. I just told myself throw on the outside corner, and that's where the ball went.
Jason, Jason Worth asked me to throw it here, and I just threw it there. That's how
much. Like, I never really had to think about it.
I think that's the same with Corey and hitting. In a way, except
kind of know
Corey could simplify hitting with the kids, and like I think he talked about, there were some things he had to redo in his brain. Going, how do I teach this? I almost need a video myself on watching it and then doing it, which that's.
And I coached basketball for a number of years, and I played. I say this loosely. I played basketball, but that was something I had to like really, really work to get on the court and pay attention, do little things, and so like I feel like I was a much better natural basketball coach than I ever was a baseball coach. It took a long time.
Well, and his son Aiden played baseball growing up, and did you coach Parker Detmers at all? I mean, you were coaching. You were the dugout with Parker a little bit. How was that?
It was again one of those things like he's you just see things sometimes that you always remember. And I remember like Parker came to a tryout. I think it was a 12U tryout, and they're hitting balls to the outfield, catching them and throwing them. And he caught a fly ball and like threw it to third. And I was like, you could just tell how the ball carried. It was like, okay, that kid is way different than everybody else.
And then he turns and sees Chris going, yeah.
Yeah. And like, Chris and I had a couple of those looks on, we had kids that would come and, new kids would come join our team, and they throw a pitch and we'd be like, oh, this is going to be bad. I'll never forget that with him, but it was, it was fun to watch Parker kind of maturing and go through it. And, there was a lot of games, and we always had a really strict pitch count on him, and it was like 70 pitches maybe, and it was done no matter what. And there was a couple games where we were like, we're playing really good teams, and
just keep throwing fastballs.
It's the fifth inning, and Parker's mowing. He's got 14 Ks through 5. He's at 70 pitches. We're up 2-0. We're like, hey, we got a chance to beat this. And I was like, all right, he's out. Then it was like we lose 15-2. That happened a few times. It was like, it
goes back to the Sandlot, right? Everyone knew there would be bigger games for him, so you have to be careful with people like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And how blessed are we in this community to see a Parker, and then we blink, and all of a sudden we got a Cameron Appenzeller. It's wild. And then you had the Matons and the from Casey to you to. It's been. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing 73 names.
Yeah, there's been a lot of guys for sure.
Back to the McClures, and that's something that Blake and I talk about, which Blake's like, I need you guys on this because I don't have any. I was
for my time. I see the stats. I know the lore of that.
Yeah, I mean, the McClures, the Drew Cheneys.
I mean, even like my sophomore year at Glenwood, We had Doug Ferguson playing third base.
Doug,
He
yeah.
played on national championship team at Lincoln Land. Kit Provines, who played Division I baseball.
Aaron Sapp.
Aaron Sapp played Division I.
Mhm.
Todd, our shortstop, Division I shortstop.
Mhm. Have you heard the lore of the back-to-back home runs at Chamberlain Park? The Aaron Sapp, Kip Provines,
Against Springfield High.
Like against Springfield High, they took Lister out, I think, and I was just with Aaron a couple weeks ago watching Illinois basketball with Nate Ramsey, and I said people still talk about the back-to-back jacks that went over the light tower.
It was a crazy game. Mark Nunn, who ended up playing at Carbondale, was a sophomore playing right field, and he had like the best I could describe it was like Roberto Clemente throw from right field to throw somebody out the plate.
A missile.
He threw it, and everyone, it was like just dead silent. Like, did that just happen? And he hit a homer.
Yep.
That I think tied it up, and then I think Kip hit a homer first.
They took Lister out, so this is so Sapp. They took Lister out, and Kip hit one that almost went off the light pole or something, or hit the white building in left center.
Sapp hit one probably even farther. Yeah, they were. It was.
And Sapp ended up playing at Uno at New Orleans.
I think Aaron went to U of I.
Yep.
As a freshman.
You're right.
Came back and played at Lincoln Land for a year, then went to New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, just so many guys.
And he was on one of those rifle teams with me one of the years I played. I can't remember which one. They all run together, really.
So I retract only having to score one run when you're pitching. You got those guys in the middle of those lineups, and then again, we were talking too about just how good all the teams were back then, from Brook Trees to Pat Trees at Southeast, and
crazy,
and Mitch Trees. So that's Brooks, and then you got to Springfield High where you got Lister and the Nuns and
Scott Jarvis.
Scott Jarvis was a load.
Ole Miss.
Yes, yeah. Iowa State. I was going to go to Iowa State, and they cut their baseball program. Ends up at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But that's a name that it's just.
Yeah, he was really, really good.
Jarvis stuff, because before my time, but know the name, and obviously that was insane for someone in Central Illinois to go to SEC baseball in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he went to, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this. I think he went to Georgia. I know he ended up at Ole Miss.
He ended up at Ole Miss. I think Iowa State is where he committed originally, and they cut their baseball program because that's when Title IX came into play, and the baseball program got
he
cut.
went to a JUCO.
Yep.
Maybe what's the one up in Chicago that used to be really good?
Triton?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm almost positive that he played there.
Yep.
He's got a daughter, my daughter's age. So we've like kind of connected a couple times on Facebook just talking about softball and stuff. So I don't remember. If I'm being honest, I don't remember much about him at the plate. I just remember him behind the plate. He had a hose.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean,
they threw me out twice in the same game. And Don Herring goes,
easily the best arm.
Yes,
easily the best arm from behind the plate, probably that I saw in high school.
And he got rid of it so fast.
Yeah.
It was so. And Jason had a hose from behind but Scott got rid of it so fast, and the ball was always this high off the ground.
Yes. Yeah. So that was. So yes, they were always really good.
Well, then Lanphier.
In Lanphier.
You had, Corey, you had Bridgewater, you had Eric Louie, you had Fuge was a little bit before that. You had Brian Graham, Corey still says, has the best hands at third base as he's ever played with. He played with Johnny Peralta.
So I think the first at bat I had against Corey, it was actually my first varsity start ever as a sophomore. We played Lanphier. And I think the first time I faced Corey, I thought, all right,
how good can he be?
I throw hard. I know who he is. I mean, I knew who he was. I'd never seen him play before, but of course I knew, because I played with Springer and McClure. They played with Corey. They knew that. They told me. You're still kind of young and dumb, and I'm like, listen, I got a fastball. I can get it by this guy. And I think the first one I threw him, he hit a foul ball into the third base dugout. That's how far ahead he was of my heat. And I'm not kidding. Like a line drive. So I think in 2 years, and again, this could be wrong, but it's going to be pretty close. I think I faced him 10 times, and he hit a ground double at Glenwood off me. I struck him out twice, and I walked him 7 times.
And you didn't walk people very, very often.
No, and they were 100% on purpose. Like I was
Why give in?
I felt no reason to throw him anything he could hit. I just like after that first at bat, I felt like if I threw him a strike, he would hit a homer.
I think that's what gets lost in his high school days is no one gave him anything to hit, and he still did the damage that he did without
for sure
getting anything to hit.
And that was one of the regrets I have in high school as a competitor has to do with Corey, and it was his last game. Played him in a regional championship game my junior year, his Corey's senior year.
Mm-hmm.
We're up 11-0 in the fifth, bottom of the fifth, and he comes up.
There's probably a million scouts there.
There's a lot of people there, and it's 11-0, and I walked him. I pitched around him, and I wish. And if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Roger Erickson gave me some shit about that from the stands, but I wish to this day that I would have just said,
challenged him.
Here's a heater. See how far you can hit it.
Yeah. And
he probably would have hit it pretty far. In my defense, I had a no-hitter going at the time. I didn't want to give it up, but
so you don't pitch to him, but you pitched to me on a no-hitter.
Wasn't the same.
No, it was not
Corey. But yeah, Corey easly the best hitter that I faced in not only high school, but the only one that's close in my eyes was a kid out of Mount Zion, Jason Edgar, who ended up playing at Evansville, and he was really good, really, really. Josh Comnick too and he was a year younger.
Comnick was my age. Yep, he was at Lincoln. Yep.
Man, I had a hard time with him too.
Mally called me the other day, insisted to do the comic story, like you have to do it.
Well, and
he raved about it, said he was a special guy.
Josh was on that Sun team with O'Malley and Canadlers, and he was really good.
Yeah, he was really, really good. Incredible basketball player too.
Yeah, I still talk to him because he's he's behind the mic now.
Yeah, he's been doing that for a while. I'm sure he's got some good stories about that game against Lanphier, and it was like a super sectional, like triple overtime or something.
Yeah. So
that was
for hoops.
So and that was the city schools, and there wasn't really any.
We didn't even mention Griffin, but do we want to mention Griffin? Just kidding, Griffin. But I mean, we're just kidding. We're just kidding. No, but going back to SHG, people forget about Brian Langen.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian Langen pitched professionally, and he was their number one your senior year, my junior year. And you had Scott Sellinger was the year. Phil Weatherall. Phil Weatherall was there too.
Yeah, he was my roommate in Kentucky.
Phil was really good. And then they still had, and you had O'Malley, you had Stefano. After that, you had
that was the team probably throughout my high school career that always gave me the most trouble.
Jason Best and Sabota.
Yeah. Of course, they never beat me, but I never seemed to have like, I know it was always a struggle.
Yeah. Well,
and they were good.
When you got to get everybody in the lineup out, it's hard. Where I think probably most teams, you had to get 4 or 5 guys out.
Yeah.
And then you could make the other guys get themselves out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They had a deep lineup, and they're just like tough, like scrappy hitters, like the worst, like as a pitcher, the worst ones you want to face.
They'll foul off 12 pitches and
Yeah, for sure. And then you add the, especially my sophomore year, the commentary from the bench.
Oh yeah.
It was like, that was the first time I ever heard. And like, I was like, well, these guys, they're talking to me. Like,
you could do that back then. I mean, the chirping was as loud as
it was.
Yeah.
Relentless, nonstop for 7 innings.
I'm sure Scheller wasn't leading the chirping.
He was probably giving them the ammunition, because I think my sophomore year pitch against him in a regional. I think I was 15 years old, and I didn't know what to like.
Would that have been Petrelli?
Yeah.
Petrelli was really good.
Yeah, and we were actually down 3-2. Brought Mike Pilger in with bases loaded. He hit a dude and scored. We tied it up. And then we hit a ground ball to short, and they throw it to second with a force and threw it in the right field. Ball game. And that's how we won that. I mean, it was like, as Scott Sellinger will call it, the Moomy magic. Always just always found a way to, find a way to win those games.
I think the best thing Pat Mooney did every time was just let his guys play. I mean, he knew he had talent, never overcoached, and let you guys, do what you knew how to do.
That was, when I moved back to the area and started coaching the freshmen, it was actually Phil Maton's freshman year was my first year coaching freshmen. So
must be tough coaching freshmen with Phil Maton. Jeez.
We had a pretty good team. Of course, he didn't play. He didn't like. Well, I think he was still playing some infield and wasn't
Phil Maton yet.
You saw him throw bullpens. It was like, okay, that kid's. You could hear the baseball. You could hear it hissing. Yeah,
Yep.
It's like that kid's gonna be pretty good. And he came back as a sophomore. I was like, okay, he's there.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite things to do, and of course, as you're coaching the freshmen, you don't get to go to many varsity games because you're usually playing at the same time and you got to practice and that sort of thing. But like whenever I could, I would just love to go in the dugout and I would just sit there and just watch Pat. And, he just watching, just observing, that taught me, he taught me so much about being, I honestly thought I was, again, I can't remember how old I was, but I was young and stupid. Like how hard can coaching baseball be? Like I'll get, and then I got there and it was like moving too fast. Like it was like, yeah, it was like, cause a little bit different situation. I got 18 freshmen that I got to try to get in games sometimes. I'm trying to work kids in and trying to do this and trying to manage that. And I wasn't real good at it I got better at it for sure.
And you were in the development role where you were trying to, you were trying to make people better and get them ready to play at the varsity level.
Yeah. And that was literally the only thing, and Pat's son, Kyle, was the JV coach.
Mm-hmm.
And that was literally the only thing that we were worried about.
Yeah.
We didn't care about our record. If you asked us our record,
we don't know.
We don't know. We don't have
Game Changer.
It wasn't anything we ever. It honestly wasn't everything we even thought about.
Is Game Changer? Look at this.
Yeah, thought you might, if you want to hang it up in your office, on your background.
Look at that, guys. That's an original.
That is an original. Hey, you know what? Take that CICL baseball with you, and now you got the CICL.
I don't know what that jersey's made out of, but if you can imagine wearing that thing when it's 100.
It's goat wool. Yeah.
I can't in.
You guys can see, but Easy's got a CICL baseball.
Oh, nice.
That's now Blake's. Blake's got a CICL baseball and a Rifles jersey now for his collection.
So our goal was to, like, when these kids got up to varsity, that Pat wouldn't have to worry about doing anything as far as, like, they knew what the practices were going to be. They knew what his signs were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Pat still when I coach, I use the same signs when I play.
Does Casey still just do this when he wants his?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Probably a little more complicated at this point. But,
hey, I'm probably to do that with Appenzell. It just
whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Just do that.
throw it down the middle. I think I may have hit it. So it was. And I lost my train of thought there, but.
Well, I'm talking about your coaching and having movie. It is a lot harder than it looks, but it's even more harder at a place like Chatham, I would presume, because you have a lot of guys that know they're good, and some guys that think they're good, and then other guys that you also know that there's going to be bigger games later.
Yeah.
So that game that might mean a lot in high school, it can only mean so much with a guy that you got to be careful with. And back to Detmers, there was a spot where, at the time it's like, he was available to throw in the sectional game in Lincoln, but looking back, you realize that Casey had other decisions to make, which that was, I'm not going to throw him on short rest when he's going to pitch in much bigger games later.
So I can remember, and he had a post about him to Jake Ingold when he was a senior, pitched a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, our non-conference schedule at the time, the conference was, I think, overall down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple good teams more often than not.
SHG Chatham, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So our non-conference schedule was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So he would always pitch
Troy, Edwardsville.
Yeah. So Jake would always pitch the weekend games.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking to myself, like, why does he like save Phil to throw somebody against these better teams? And he would every once so often, but, we got the super sectional and Phil started, didn't have it, had to bring Jake in. Jake threw 5 shutout innings and we win a game. And I'm like,
That's why.
that's why.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like one of those things you just didn't really think about. John Hyde was our assistant. And I remember him telling me sometime we were talking about Pat, and I would, John would call the pitches. So I would sit next to John while we were on defense, and he'd be like, Pat knows 5 moves, what he's going to do. He goes, watch this. He goes, Pat, what happens if Jake Folk, he was our shortstop, what happens if he gets hurt and we had to put, and it was like, he knew. Like he already, so it was like, oh, he's already got all this stuff done ahead of time. So he never had to think about those sort of things. And that's where I struggled with to begin with. Like, I never was thinking about that stuff. I was like making up a lineup and here it is and let's go.
And John Hyde, what a great human. I mean, you talk about, so I umpiring at first base. John and I had a lot of conversations because he was the first base coach at Chatham.
Yep.
And did he play at Louisville?
Yeah.
Played at Louisville.
Yeah.
So you've got somebody hanging out at first base that played at Louisville.
Yeah.
And unbelievable human.
John was a good dude.
And I never heard a curse word out of his mouth.
No, he was the master of picking signs.
Yes.
He could, and I don't know how still this day, I don't know how he did it, but he could watch a guy, call pitches from the dugout and watch him 2 or 3 times. And he'd be like,
code breaker.
He'd look at me in the dugout and he goes, got him. And then he would close fist. I'd relay it to the hitter, close fist, a fastball, open fist.
The original Astros. Yeah, they are. Except you guys did it the fairway.
Yeah.
You guys did it
yeah. And we still had kids who were like, yeah, I don't want to know what's coming. I was like,
who wouldn't want to know what's coming?
I don't know.
The Astros did.
I guess I was a shitty hitter because I always wanted to know what's coming. That's the only way we had a chance.
Me too.
I don't know. That was, it was a fun time to be in the dugout, and I didn't really have, I hit fly balls before the game, and after that, my responsibilities were pretty much over.
Yeah.
So I got to sit there and observe and just be like, it was awesome just seeing those 2 guys, do what they do. And, we had really good teams and, finished second one year and won at the next, and just had good players and good kids. And
well, and I think we both got spoiled too, because we played with good players growing up, and we always had good players around us. And then like that Flame team that we had, where you had so many guys that were so good, and you got to continue with a lot of them.
Yeah.
But that era of baseball was it. You had to, if you didn't show up every day, somebody wanted your job, somebody wanted your spot in the lineup, and more importantly, somebody on the other side wanted to kick your ass.
Yeah. And that's what when I look back at those teams, I can just remember, 1, how much fun we had playing. And 2, I just always really admired how competitive these guys were. And I think that's when I always tell it, like, that's when I knew I couldn't hit anymore. We were facing, when I was playing for the Thunder, we go up to Chicago, play this guy's committed to Texas A&M, throwing low 90s. And I'm thinking, I have 0 shot of ever getting a hit off this kid. I'm like, there's no way. I have no shot. And everybody else, Brad, Jason, Craig Moreland, Matt Whalen, Seth, Von Barron, like all these guys were like salivating at getting the chance to hit against him. They couldn't wait to get up to the plate. And I was like, okay, this is a little different than my approach,
Yeah.
So, and they got up there, and we kicked his ass, and like we did to most of those guys.
But that's no different than you seeing Corey Erickson going, I can throw it by this guy.
And I certainly had it out on the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was offended if somebody got hit off me for sure back then.
Yeah.
Not so much later. When I was struggling a little bit when I got into college, but back then for sure. Like I didn't ever think I should ever give up a hit.
Yeah. And
yeah.
All right. Hey guys. You guys have not heard from me for a while because I don't have a microphone.
I apologize.
But, I didn't. So, Easy E sprung it on me on the way over here that we were having a guest, and it's incredible. But I only brought 2 microphones, so if I start talking here without a microphone, it's going to muck it up. So I'm kind of just sitting here trying to be quiet, I guess, in ways. But hey, I want to hear about this Thunder. What a legendary Springfield team. You guys won a World Series. This was Dennis Worth, right? Tell me about some Thunder stuff.
First off, the smartest thing they did was get rid of a kid named Eric Easley, and got a guy named Todd Mitchell to play shortstop. So
so that was our 15 would have been our 15U season.
16 you won the World Series, right?
16 we won the World Series,
Yeah.
but 15 was the first year of the Thunder, and that's when we had played Todd Mitchell's team, who was from Bloomington. He went on to play at ISU, got drafted by the Yankees, played in their organization for a couple years.
Terrible golfer.
Yeah, he was all around, just one of those kids that was like annoyingly good at everything. He came and joined the team that year. We had played him a bunch a couple times as a 14U. He came, and his dad came and was an assistant coach. I think Mark Nunn actually played with us that first year.
Josh Stewart, did you guys get Stewart that year or the year after?
Josh actually never played a game for us. It was the Paducah Storm guy.
Yeah.
That was always one of those guys that was like, I think Stewart's going to play with us this weekend, or he's coming this weekend, and
just never showed.
Just never came.
Yeah.
It was, it was pretty much the same core group of guys. We interchanged some guys here and there. Some from 15 to 16.
Ty Shelton.
Shelton came as a 15-year-old. Another kid we played as a 14-year-old.
Played for Staunton.
Yeah, playing on a 14U team. Yeah. It was one of those. I think Dennis was like, every time we played a really good player in 14U, wrote his name down and got his phone number and called him and said, "You want to come play for us?"
That's why I was pissed off in Spring, Texas when we went down there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think the best way to, Dennis was one of those guys, if you were playing against him, you did not like him.
I remember his first game ever coaching.
Yeah. And if Dennis was on your side, you felt pretty good about it.
There was a game, and if you don't mind me speaking to this, because Dennis was my coach from 7 years old till 15. And I just remember Jason taking a fastball to his wrists. We were over in Decatur, and he just looked at me and goes, "Warm up." And I knew what that meant.
Yeah.
I knew that it was my turn to warm up. And when that kid came up to the plate, I knew where that fastball was supposed to go. And Dennis didn't say anything, but that was that was his aura and his expectation of perfection. And he would get mad if we didn't win the right way.
Yeah.
And that goes all the way, I'm sure, through the Thunder teams.
With Dennis, as far as being, excuse me, just being competitive on the mound and not giving in to anybody, was kind of the first guy who kind of, taught me like the next level of how to play and how to pitch. Mm-hmm. Like we've talked about a couple of times, like I was, even at 14, I was big, I was throwing hard, and I threw strikes all the time. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Feldy, he's like, every once in a while, you got to throw a ball. I'm like, why? He's like, trust me. He's like, next time you get 0-2, he goes, throw one off the backstop. Off the backstop? He's like, yeah, just trust me. Okay. I may have grunted a little bit when I pitched. And so I got a kid 0-2 and grunted and threw one about 10 feet up the backstop, and no one dug in or got comfortable the rest of the game. So it was, you have, I know the first year, like my 13U season, I'll never forget. We were playing some team, and, every time they got a full count, they would do like the fake square to bunt and, waggle their bat like like that.
Throw it.
That's stupid.
Throw it at their chest.
And I remember saying, like, come in the dugout and like complaining about it. And Dennis was like, hit him in the chest.
I remember, I remember this. Yeah.
So the next time they did it, the guy did it, and boom, I just crushed him.
Yeah.
And
I'm not even sure.
They didn't do that anymore. I mean, it was just like stuff like that. It was not like we went and headhunted people.
Oh, no. It was played the game the more Bob Gibson way.
If you got,
you command respect.
If there were certain things you didn't do, I got to tell this because this was definitely Dennis's influence on me. I'll make it quick. State championship game my senior year. We're up 7-5. They got a guy on first, 1 out. I pitched 7 innings the day before, so I'm on inning 2 on Saturday night, and I have nothing left. It felt like I was throwing about 50 miles an hour. And I get a guy like 2-1 or 3-1, throw a fastball down the middle. He hits a ground ball at Craig Moreland. Craig fields it, steps on second, throws the first, double play, ball game, state
champs.
Dog pile, right? After the game, it clears up and we look and Craig's still at second base, like on the ground. Our trainer's with him. I'm like, what the heck happened? He got spiked. He got hit hard. And so like, I'll find the clip. It's on YouTube. I'll find the clip and you got to watch. He got like karate kicked in the chest on this guy trying to break up the double play. Got crushed. Anyway, guy, Wabanzi Valley High School, right? I'll never forget him. Fast forward, I'm a junior at Kentucky Wesleyan. In the fall, you play some JUCOs, right? This kid was a sophomore. I was a senior in high school. I get to Kentucky Wesleyan. I'm a junior. We're playing Wabanzi Valley Junior College. I see somebody over there. I'm like, that can't be. I look at the lineup. Yep. So his first at bat, boom, I just right in the ribs.
That's for you, Craig.
And then like, it was literally 15 years later when I saw Craig. I was like, hey, you mean that guy that spiked you? Yeah, I got him. But it was like, I wasn't, and I certainly wasn't at like a guy was like headhunting people or anything like that. I think there was certainly a time to do that.
Yeah.
There was times where I was like, no, I don't want anybody on base. I'm not going to hit anybody. Let's try to get somebody out. But there's certainly a time and place for it.
Yeah, and that's just being a good teammate. I mean, to this day, I mean, Adam would text me and ask me how Jace was doing. When he was at Chatham. I mean, that's the teammate that you were.
Dennis was a hard nosed guy, and he liked he pushed us to be the best baseball players we could. We had fun. It wasn't a real, we were competing, we were serious to win, but it wasn't life
or death.
Yeah. We had fun. We had a ton of fun. It was loose, and Dennis was goofy like that and liked to laugh and joke around with us.
It's also easy to have fun when you win.
Yeah.
And
we had really good teams.
And winning, you can have fun, and when you have fun, you win. We had
really good teams. I blame him for my love of uniforms because he always had about 30 of them.
God, didn't we? We looked sharp though.
Like we had pinstripe uniforms, and we lined up our pinstripes on our jerseys.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the flame video? Did I send that to you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were cut off baseball pants.
That was the year that I believe he went through the last half of the season with kidney stones.
Yeah, it was
he was passing kidney stones, coaching third base.
Like in the regional, the game we won the regional to go to the World Series. Yeah. He was like, he couldn't even stand up. He had surgery in the time in between. We'd go and win the regional and going to
before we hit the flight. He had surgery. Yeah. Yeah, and look at some of the names that we got to play against too with those Dennis teams. I mean, Corey Patterson was on one of the teams we played that year.
That was another guy, playing the big leagues for the Cubs. Mm-hmm. I think a first round pick, and
played on the Bruce Sutter. Bruce Sutter coached a team that his son played on.
Played them down in Paducah the first time. I don't know if we played him outside of that.
They were East Cobb.
He played on the East Cobb team.
Yep.
And we were watching him take infield. Like one of those things that you just if I close my eyes, I can see it.
Yep.
And so I was standing next to Dennis, and Dennis is leaning on his fungo bat, waiting for us to take in. He was watching Corey Patterson throw from the outfield. He's like, he's going to play in the big leagues one day.
Yeah.
He was 13.
Oh, and I still remember Vernon Wells hit a ball off of Adam Mueller. It was Grady Mueller's dad. No, sorry, Adam. But it hit a ball that I remember Brad Sabota looking at me before I could even turn around to see how far it went. And Brad goes, "That's the farthest ball I've ever seen hit in my life." Yeah. And then we looked, and then it landed. And Vernon Wells, I think, was still the same size as he was when he was in the big leagues, as he was when he was 14 years old. He played for the Dallas Tornadoes. I think. Yeah.
They were
Will Overstreet was in
really?
that. Yeah, he was in that.
That too. What's his that Corey Patterson team? They had
Bruce Sutter was the head coach, and there was
I
another
can't
player.
remember if it was that year or like the next year, a couple years later, we played the East Cobb. But one of those years we played East Cobb, like their shortstop playing Brett Abernathy played in the big leagues. Quincy
Abernathy.
Carter,
Yep.
who ended up, he was like
Quincy Carter, the
second
Georgia
pick,
quarterback.
went to Georgia.
Yeah.
Quarterback ended up being a quarterback for the Cowboys. Was on that team.
Yep.
That was that year that was our 16U summer. Playing the state tournament. One state on Saturday. I think we left on Wednesday to go to East Cobb playing a tournament. And the first pitch I threw in that tournament, I hit it about 900 feet. I was like, my arm was, not really, it was the same thing. Like I said, I threw seven on Friday and 2 on Saturday. And this is, the next Friday I was out there again,
the best part is I still remember the game that Adam went from 60 feet to 54 feet. It was in Petersburg.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
And like the Dungeons were out there, and the first pitch he threw, I just remember Craig Moreland played third base. I'm playing short, and I look at Craig, and Craig goes, "Oh yeah." I could still see him look at me, just go, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go."
Yeah, that was, I think that entire game, I might have thrown 20 curveballs, and every one of them was up here.
Yeah, every curveball missed up from 54 feet.
Screw it, I'll just throw fastballs.
I was going to say, I'm not sure why you were throwing curveballs.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, a lot of good, getting back to Dennis, I was, fortunate to play for a lot of good coaches, and lots of different styles. Pat, Moomy, Dennis are very, very good coaches, but probably complete opposites as far as coaches go. And you played, Claude was there when you had just left, maybe? Just left. Okay.
I went to all the.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah. So it was, and I got along with Coach Krasik. It was a different, it was always interesting to see with the Rifles, especially these guys coming in from D1 schools, and you got Claude, it's 110 out in July, and we're, running polls before games, and these guys are like, who is this guy? What is wrong with him?
Yeah.
I'm like, and, so there was a lot of stuff like that.
It's a layered question.
Yeah. Yeah. That was always interesting. We always had fewer players at the end of the year, and I think for all those teams, it was, we had some, I'm trying to think, it might've been my last year. Like I played first base a couple times, and like had some at bats because, we were ran out of guys. He's like, "Fella, you take some BP today. You might have to be in the lineup." I haven't seen a pitcher for years. These guys these are good pitchers. They're throwing.
Yeah, these are Division I guys or high level JC guys. Yeah.
The first at bat I had, it was like one of those where he's like, you got to hit, because I think our DH got hurt or whatever the situation was. You got to hit. Okay. I'm like, what's this guy got? He's like 95. Okay. And I swear he threw a pitch, and I swear it was down the middle. And when I swung, it was like, here. I'm like get up
it was
there.
rise ball.
So that at bat didn't last very long.
That's one of my favorite reels of all time, was when that LSU kid gets interviewed after the game, and he goes, "Coach asked me if I could swing." I'm like, "Yeah, Coach, I can swing it." And he goes, "Coach, I
didn't hit high school."
After he hit a bomb, he goes, "My high school coach never let me hit."
Yeah. So, I was just so fortunate to play with play for all those different guys, and really kind of shaped who I was as a player and as a coach. And even when I started coaching my own kids and coaching at Glenwood, it really helped me, trying to figure out who I was as a coach, and took something from all of them. For sure.
I love that this turned into the Adam Feld, because I'm so glad it did, because I told Blake before we started, I said, we can talk a lot about everyone else, because that's what I enjoy doing, and I'm blessed to have Blake allow me to be a little bit a part of this, because the guys like this is the reason that I think everyone tunes in, because so many people can relate back or remember back to the time that that you were around and
Yeah.
you were so successful, and there was a respect factor too, because you, as competitive as you were, you also were always humble and always, you can shoot the shit with anybody that you played against or with through the years. So
Yeah, that was always important to me, to try to be, to try to do it the right way. And again, that comes from, comes from my dad, my older brother, for sure, to start with. And then the guys I played for, kind of leading the way on that, and not, especially Coach Mooney. It was always, and you kind of said this earlier, it was always, we didn't talk a lot. We didn't talk a lot of, we didn't talk a lot of shit. That was just, we just went out and was like, we try to let it how he played, talk for us. We try not to get in, of course we did at times, when you have Adam Springer on your team, you're going to get into some of that. We got into some of that. So it was fun to have him on it was fun to have him on our team for that reason. Not only he was a really good baseball player, and I got to play with him in college too, which was fun. Probably more fun off the field than it was on, but
so Adam and I are related, right?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know? Okay.
No.
Adam, tell the world here. My great grandma was a Springer. Adam and I,
really? Okay.
Yeah, we're like fourth cousins.
I didn't know that.
And our heritage goes all the way back to, and you'll probably cut this, but all the way back to Abe Lincoln's next door neighbor was Francis Springer. He brought the Lutheran Church to.
Oh, wow.
So Adam Springer and I come from a pastor who that's why we're so we're very.
That makes more sense now. Everything's come together.
And Adam I played with when we were 12. So he was 12 and Jason and I and Schneller were 10. And I just remember him, I won't say hitting on the moms and the sisters, but he's 12. He's putting his arm around our moms, and we're like, this guy's got a mustache, and it was like Kelly Leak with Bad News Bears. And it was like, this guy's like 17 years old, but Adam was 12. And
yeah. Trying to think the best way to describe Adam.
Kelly Leak, maybe that's
yeah. He was, ultimate, had so much confidence in himself, and was the ultimate competitor. And, probably out of any, we faced each other a few times, like in scrimmages and stuff. And then in the summer, like that was maybe Steelman time when he was playing for the Steelman or the Pride. Maybe I can't remember which one he was on, which one, but we would, play some games over the summer, and
probably Steelman.
I think I actually pitched against him one time, the old Riverton 4th of July tournament.
Hacksaws, yeah.
And I think he's probably got the best career numbers out of anybody ever against me. He just always hit me. He told me later, he always knew it was coming. He's like, I saw you pitch so much, I just knew what you were going to throw. So I don't know if that's true or not. He was the ultimate, he was a guess hitter. And when he guessed right, he hit the ball a long way.
He was a right-handed Jim Edmonds.
Yeah. So we got to college, we got to Kentucky Wesleyan, and he was there a year before me. And I think he ended up playing 3 years there. So we played 2 years together there. And I can't think what year that was. Him and Eric Louie,
another name,
lived together, had a house.
Who lives two blocks that way. We could text Eric right now if we get crazy.
So they had, which I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, how crazy this is, because I think it was those two and two other guys had a house like in a neighborhood like this. I mean, like college guys in a neighborhood that on both sides of them were families and regular people.
Was this off Washington Street, or was this in Kentucky?
This is in Kentucky.
Okay.
I got a feeling Springer was fun.
He was. Yeah. We had some good times.
Usually at the library. Studying for finals.
Remember any of those times, but we had a good time. So his wife Molly went to school with us. So we had a group of guys. It was a really, really tiny school. I think there was, when we were going there, I'm not sure how big it is now. When we were going there, I think there was 800 kids that went to school there. Yeah. So it was a group of 10 or 12 baseball players that hung out all the time. My roommate was Phil Weatherall, pitch at Griffin, still local here. a couple other guys lived, 2 doors down, and like we, just hung out with those. We were.
There was a huge Central Illinois baseball contingent down at Wesleyan
Yeah.
at that time. What was the connection there?
I don't know. Like it was Springer and Louis.
So they
got there first.
They just became magnets for other people.
Springer, Louis, and gosh, who was it? I can't think. Who was the older Skeeters from Plains?
Not Jimmy Skeeters, but
was it Jeremy or Chris?
Chris was the older one.
Okay, so
Jeremy was Jeremy was
Chris
that,
Skeeters. So there's like 3 Central Illinois guys down there.
Yep.
The year before I got there.
And have you heard of the Skeeters brothers? Yeah, 2 big lefties. Yeah.
Like Chris Skeeters won like 17 games one year for Plains in a season.
Yeah.
He pitched pretty much every game.
Was Greer the head coach?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he was like 17-0, and I think they first or second.
Pinsko was like 34-1 year, wasn't he?
Steve Petrelli, another Griffin guy, when he was there for a fall. I'm not sure.
Steve was really good.
I'm not sure I can't remember how long he lasted there.
Steve, he was really.
Yeah,
good.
we had some good times. We weren't very good. I pitched. I threw a lot of pitches down there.
We guys spent so much time at the library. It was hard to be good at baseball.
Yeah, it was hard to get the training in that I needed. But yeah, that was. We didn't really have a bullpen, so when I,
And Kentucky Wesleyan, they were D2 then.
D2,
yeah.
They were GLVC at the time.
Actually, a good conference.
It was really good. If we had some,
Southern Indiana, SIUE was in that conference.
SIUE, Northern Kentucky, which is their Division I now.
Right.
SIUE was really, really good at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That was. I'm trying to think. I think
was Ryan Cox at SIU at the time? Ryan Cox is another one from Effingham, pitched for the Giants. He's local. His son just committed to Northern.
And I think I think he pitched the game. It was my junior year. We lost in like 3-2 in 12 innings, and I pitched 11.
You pitched 11 innings?
Oh yeah. I've never came. I'm like,
was Dave Greer coach of that team too?
We didn't have a bullpen, so it was like. I mean, this is not a joke.
Honest question.
I threw 185 pitches in a game that year. Yeah, 9-inning game.
We are just
lost on a walk-off grand slam.
We are just kidding, Dave. That was 185 pitches.
Oh yeah. So that was.
Wow.
I mean, my junior year in college, I threw almost 100 innings in the spring, and then I came to the Rifles and I threw, I think 65. It's a lot. So my fall of my senior year, like it was the strangest thing. Like no arm pain, didn't hurt. I just didn't have anything. I was throwing like 78.
So the question is,
rearing back and throwing as hard as I could, and like nothing happened.
Have you thrown more pitches than Frank Stefano in his life, or
no? Frank is still going. I did pitch in that league for a season, and which was, it was a blast. And Frank was pitching back then.
I believe it.
He's oh yeah,
no,
still going.
Still going.
So my son played in a fall league a few years. Like so he's 21. So he would have been 16. So 5 years ago, and we're playing a fall league at Lutheran High School on a Sunday morning. We go out there, and they're like, "Who's this guy pitching?" I go, "You guys, like I was helping coach." I'm like. Laugh if you want, man. He's gonna try
to get you out. Yeah,
and he did. He shut us out. I mean, he was. Oh yeah. I mean, he was. 42, 43, and beat a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds. With ease.
It's the definition of the rubber arm.
Yeah,
from the left side.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that was.
It's hilarious.
I threw a lot of innings. I threw a lot of pitches when I was at Wesleyan, and wish it could have been different, but it wasn't. So,
well, you had a lot of success, man, and thanks for stopping in tonight. And I'm not stopping this. This is Blake's show, but
I'm hung. Let me see for a second. Like I said, I've hung back a little bit because we only have. Oh no, we're good. Okay, well, sure, we'll do a couple questions here. And then how about we round out? I actually wanted to have you on as a guest at some point, but we've covered a lot of stuff here. How about I rattle off a couple of like our classic questions for you, and then
absolutely
cool. And then maybe we can transition to like I want to get to some Ericksons and some stuff like that. And I do need a microphone at some point.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's go off the top of my head. I usually have a list, so
it's okay.
Off my top, favorite player of all time.
Dale Murphy.
Why?
Hit a home run the first baseball game I ever went to.
Dale Murphy. Okay.
Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Fulton. I used to launching pad. I've
So
been there a few times myself.
my mom grew up in Atlanta. I've been a Braves fan my whole life.
You're a Braves fan too?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got a Chief Nakahoma tattoo right here. It's probably not very PC these
So
days.
I was a Braves fan when they were really, really bad when it started. And then of course it was easy to in the early 90s. It was
Sure.
really easy to be, when I was in junior high.
Oh yeah, that was magic. TBS.
Started to get really into it, and yeah, a lot of fun. So Dale Murphy, kind of my all-time. A close second is probably Chipper.
Oh yeah.
And then probably John Smoltz is my favorite pitcher of all time.
I'm with that. So then Braves.
Yeah.
Okay. Your repertoire, you said fastball, curve?
Fastball, curveball. I threw a changeup every once in a while, more in college than I did in high school. I probably threw, in 3 years in high school, I probably threw 30 changeups.
How'd you throw your curve? Can you grab that ball real quick?
You'll never believe it when I show you.
Really? Is it unique?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm glad I asked. I've been asking guys to show their repertoire now, and I haven't put the Cam. I have not put the Cam Appenzeller part 2 out yet, but he went over some of his new pitches. There's some interesting grips.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
Dennis Worth lamp there.
We've got some really cool memorabilia here. You showed me there's a Jason Worth autograph here. This is like the early flame. Is that what it is, or what is it?
Probably 10.
10 years old. Yeah, it looks like a bunch of 10-year-old autographs on there. It's hilarious.
So funny thing about
Sandlot ball.
this is one of the first things that Dennis, he was asking me when I first started playing for him. He was asking me how I throw stuff, and he was like, "How do you throw your fastball?" I was like, "4-seamer," and I threw it was literally like that.
That wide?
And he's like, "What are you doing?" I don't know. He's like, "Get them closer together." So I like did that. And I was like, "Oh wow, I threw a little harder." But curveball was
That's great.
like that.
No, what?
One finger
Show
up,
the camera. The camera needs to see it. What?
like a split
That's your curveball.
curveball,
How's it? What are you doing?
like just right off. So it's like almost like a spike, I think.
Yeah, interesting. You gotta have some pause to do that. Yeah.
And it literally went like this.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I had no pressure. This is also probably reason number one why I didn't throw it very hard,
Yeah.
but it worked.
How did you come up with that?
Adam Springer.
Springer.
He had a variation of this, I think. And I always joked with him that I thought he was probably, that was one of my favorite things to do is when I was playing catch with somebody or saw somebody throw something.
Yeah.
How do you throw it? I always
Sure,
wanted to know.
absolutely. It's fascinating.
I was always fascinated with that. So he threw at the time he threw a pretty good curveball.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you throw that? And he threw something like a variation, something like that.
Huh.
And I just kind of split it.
Very unique.
Yeah. So I would, when I was younger, it was obviously a little harder to get into a grip.
Yeah.
So I would literally just start every time like that.
Yeah.
And then
Clinch down in it.
sometimes I would be back here, still here, and then I would switch to,
Really?
yeah. And then so 4-seamer, 2-seamer,
Yeah.
and then across the seams change up just like that.
Okay. Show the camera.
Yeah. Just like
Yeah.
that across.
Were you getting run on your 2?
As I got older and my arm angle dropped a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
When I was in high school.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I threw total in high school, maybe threw over 3 years, maybe threw 30 changeups, and 20 of them were in one game.
Okay.
First game of state in my junior year, I could not throw a curveball to save my life. So I was like, I gotta have some off speed, so I just started throwing changeup.
Do you have a favorite number?
What's that?
Number of choice.
27.
Why?
It was the first number that they gave me as a
That's what you got?
sophomore.
Okay.
I like to say that it just kind of worked out this way. The all-time wins record at Glenwood was 26.
Really?
So 27. I don't know.
Okay.
So my number in high school was 27. My number like on the Flame and the Thunder was 10.
Okay.
So one of my daughters wears 27. One of them wears 10.
2 things I wrote down.
Yeah.
Springer once told me when he was helping coach the Rifles, he said, swing hard in case you miss it. Does that sound like Springer to you?
Swing hard.
He said, swing hard. No, not in case you miss it. Swing hard in case you hit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
He goes, that was my, that was what I lived and died by.
Pretty much.
And then, from what I think I know, I'm pretty close with Kim Worth. And I think a Dennis motto that I've heard that always makes me laugh is F 'em and feed 'em fishtails. Have you heard that one before?
That one I don't remember.
Does it sound like him?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying what the one he always said was that I still say, and he always said, "Watch your lips."
Yep.
When there's something, I don't even know
The
what
baseball term, sure.
Yeah. So that was one I still say to this day.
Best baseball word, best baseball movie, and worst.
Best one for me, The Natural.
Yep.
I saw it when I was just one of those you see as a kid, and I had a wooden fence in my backyard, and for about an entire summer, I tried to throw a baseball through it.
Yeah.
After I watched it, some Natural, so
For
I still
sure.
remember that. Natural and Field of Dreams.
Can't go wrong.
The worst one, that's tough. Summer Catch is definitely up there. I know you've talked about.
I say it every podcast.
It's terrible.
I'm gonna get sued by those guys for.
Summer Catch is bad. Like The Babe is really terrible.
Terrible. It's bad.
John
Goodman is offensive as a baseball player.
It's really, really terrible. There's actually one with what's the dude for Joey from Friends?
Oh, where he's with the monkey?
Ed.
It's like Ed. Or is that what it's called? Or it's terrible.
It's Ed. That's really, really bad.
It's bad.
That's got to be one of the worst.
It's bad.
Yeah, for sure.
It's okay.
When you do these, I've listened to every podcast you've had.
Thanks, my man.
And this is one of my favorite parts. I love listening to people's.
Yeah, the little things.
So remind me to tell you the best answer anyone's ever given one of these questions.
Okay.
It's Casey Erickson gave it, in my opinion.
Do you just want to say it now? We're
Sure.
here.
The question was, I think you asked Casey, if you could face anyone ever, and anyone in the history of baseball, who would it be?
I don't remember what he said.
So I'm thinking like, shoot, that's a great question. Like Babe Ruth, like Mickey Mantle, that's who I'm thinking. He goes, Juan Soto, so I could drill him. And I'm like,
he does not like the Soto shuffle.
I was like, I know Casey a little bit.
That sounds like him.
I was like, man, that was a really Casey.
He's got some salty in him, doesn't he? I love it, man. He's a throwback.
That was a great answer.
So what would your answer be?
Bonds.
Why?
I think he's the best hitter of all time.
I agree.
Yeah.
What about who's the best pitcher of all time?
Ooh, that's another good one. Roger Clemens.
Yeah, I mean his accolades are insane.
Nolan Ryan is hard to, when you start looking at some of the stuff he did, the longevity and how good he was, how dominant he was.
Never had a Cy Young.
Never had
crazy?
a Cy Young.
He deserved one multiple years. I just read his biography.
7 no-hitters, 8 or
just
12
dominant.
1-hitters, 18 2-hitters. I mean, it's just crazy stuff.
That guy completed games.
Yes. Yeah, and he was just, a lot of fun to watch. And you watch those, he's still no-hitters when he's 42.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he was still throwing mid to upper 90s fuzz.
Just crazy.
Crazy. Beating up Robin Ventura. Yeah, if you guys watch the podcast, I have his iconic... I have a poster that you can see behind me, and it's I think Bo Jackson hit a ground ball back at him, busted his lip all up, and he said, "F that, I'm not coming out of the game." And it's just like it's like a Texas moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't mess with Texas.
Yeah, I think Roger Clemens is hard to.
Sure.
I mean, as far as dominant, like Sandy Koufax, he had those 4 or 5 years he had where, it's hard to top that.
Yeah,
obviously he didn't have longevity, but probably I don't know, Clemens. Randy Johnson, maybe. Randy Johnson was really good.
Did you have any superstitions when you played?
Yeah, for sure. When I, in high school, I can remember, I wore the old school, stirrup sock, not like
I know you're talking
not
about
the 2-in-1s, but the actual, I wore sanitary socks. And, so I always wore those when I pitched.
Those are classic, yeah.
When I didn't pitch, I actually wore the old, actual 2-in, the long striped 2-in-1s, the old Greg Maddox wore.
Mm-hmm.
The same routine as far as warm up, in between innings, get a drink, piece of ice, go out there, throw my pitches, spit the ice out, stretch. Me and Springer was playing center field. We'd point at each other.
You definitely did have some things.
Yeah, for sure. I was and then the classic baseball ones, never stepping on a line and that sort of thing. Wear the same thing. And those, and it was more it certainly falls in the category of superstition, but probably more routine stuff than anything.
Baseball video game?
Not a huge, probably the old school RBI.
Okay. He's got it. He's got the Nintendo down there with all the old school jams on it. We're going to get down after this.
Never got it. I'm trying to think what, I had like maybe it was a Super Nintendo when I was in college. And there was a game that I loved that everyone else hated. It was like Baseball Simulator 1000.
Never heard of it. That's awesome. What
There
a
was like,
new answer.
yeah, you could like make your own teams and like
Oh, sick.
have like some robots playing. It was
Yeah.
kind of crazy, but it was fun.
What are you looking back on your career? What are you most proud of?
Just I think, like, just for example, some of the stuff Eric said tonight, I think the thing that I'm most proud of as far as that goes is just when he says, good teammate. And,
Yeah.
that's what I've tried to pass on to my kids. That's what people are going to remember when it's all said and done.
Yeah. I like
That's
that.
what I like. That's what I like. I think I was lucky enough. Not so much my freshman year, the upperclassmen weren't real, wasn't a real friendly reception when I came up. My sophomore year was way better.
Yeah.
Doug Ferguson, was our third baseman, and drove me home from practice every day. And back in those days, we actually drove to games. Like if they were in Springfield, we would drive. We didn't take a bus, so it was always like, I'll never forget my freshman year. Pat saying, "Hey, you're going to go to varsity tonight. You need to find a ride." Like, who do I, if I hadn't known anybody. So it was like, those sort of things. But Doug kind of took me under his wing, and I always, like, as I went through, I always tried to do that.
Yeah.
When I was a senior in basketball, it was Griff Jurgens, who was a freshman.
Yeah, boy. Griff Jurgens' story's coming up.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear that.
Me too.
I drove Griff home from practice all the time. And Griff and I actually, Jason was maybe in the doghouse a few times that year in basketball. And Griff and I ended up starting at guard at Lincoln one day, and didn't go too well.
Was that against like Cookie and Greg Alexander and those boys?
It was, so Cook was, I think he might have been,
he was later?
He was young. He was younger.
Okay. Sorry about that.
So he was like,
Jeff Alexander, or is he?
Jeff was a year older than me. So I was like, yeah, so I might have, yeah. So Comnack, I think, was, they were good. Yeah. Osborne's. Yeah. They were good. They were solid and we weren't. And they had a good 1-2-2 press, and I was not a guard and didn't go well. I just remember looking at Griff and be like, dude, I'm sorry. You can have it. Freshman, throwing a freshman into that mix.
What you got on the Savannah Bananas?
It's not for me. I don't begrudge anybody for liking it. I've tried. I can appreciate the, listen, there's a guy catching a ball as he's doing a backflip. I can appreciate the skill.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to go.
Yep.
I don't have any interest in going and watching it live. I've watched it on TV a few times here and there, and it's like, it's not for me. I can understand where it would be.
Yep.
For some people, for sure.
Have you guys seen the movie? Is it Heart? What's the movie with Jack Black where he's like a teacher teaching music? You know what I'm talking?
School Rock.
There's a moment in there where a student stands up and it encapsulates how I feel about the Savannah Bananas. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but I know the movie well.
There's the student clearly does not like Jack Black, and Jack Black knows it. So he's like, whatever your name is, Abner or whatever, stand up and tell me, what's your problem with me? And he stands up and he's like, you're tacky and I hate you. And
yes,
that's how I feel. Anyway, all right.
Yeah, like I guess what I'm most over is, like, I can appreciate the guy building the thing for sure. Like, I'm kind of tired of hearing about it, to be honest. Yeah. Like the same interview, I'm like, all right, you guys, I get it. Then he's talking about what he would do if I was watching something the other day. He was talking about what he'd do if he owned an NFL team and this and that. And I'm like,
I don't want to know what that would look like.
It's the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a circus it's WWF to UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, as you said, I don't mind the trick plays and that sort of thing. Like I can get with that. I don't get like the ninja umpire. Like I don't know what that's bring into the situation. I don't know who's there to watch an umpire, but I don't know. That's just me.
Like you hear me, but when my only take on this is, if it makes more people watch baseball,
For sure.
and if it makes more kids interested in baseball, then baseball doesn't lose. If it draws in the 2-year-old, the 4-year-old, the 6-year-old,
I agree 100% with that. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's, from our perspective, it's tacky. but the more kids that we have that watch baseball on TV, the better the game grows.
Yeah.
And
if
that's
it gets somebody out there to play baseball, then so be
that's
it.
kind of where I'm at with it too. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
I've like my how I talk about it has progressively gotten more and more aggressive. Like it started off as like I was like, yeah, I don't know, I don't know about those bananas, and like as the guest talks about it, now I'm just like, I hate those guys. All right,
you were pretty neutral the first time.
Yeah.
I think I heard you talk about it. Now it's
I'm getting old, man. All right, I'm only half kidding. 2 more questions here.
Sure.
Let's go. Do you ever have baseball dreams anymore?
no.
Have you ever?
I'm sure I have, but not that I can remember.
Let's go 2 more then. And then when baseball was over, like when after college, was that difficult for you?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure, because it was.
That's that moment for all of us, right? It's like, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah. In fact, I was done and needed another semester of school to graduate. So I went back the next fall and actually helped coach at Wesleyan that fall. My wife, fiance at the time, had just gotten a job in North Carolina. So she had moved out there. They offered me the job, the pitching coach job. I was 21, pitching coach at, Division II school.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think anything of it now, but now I'm like, why the hell do you do that? But she was out in North Carolina and I wanted, like we had been talking, I've been looking forward to for 6 months to go and move with her. And there's certainly been times where I thought about, man, I wonder what it would have been like if I would have done that. But so then it was like, all right, that semester was over, graduated, moved to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then baseball was like, it was over. And it was just like, it was a pretty abrupt,
Yeah.
It's like you got a job and that was it. I tried to, a couple of guys I worked with were playing some adult leagues and, went and, like practiced with them a couple of times. They, got me to go out there and I was like, yeah, I just wasn't into it, just kind of at that point I was like, I just want to, put it behind me and move on. And then, fast forward probably 5 or 6 years later, quit my job, went back to school to get my teaching degree. And a month later, my wife got transferred or found a job down here and we moved back down here. I started working at Glenwood Middle School and within like a week, the freshman baseball coach quit and I got back in it.
Really?
Yeah. So it was
crazy.
it was kind of funny how it worked out. And then, I coached for 6 or 7 years there and, it was really tough. And I mean, you guys can relate to this, your identity is baseball. And that's how I was for sure. That's how people thought of me as a baseball player.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're not that. And, in addition to my career didn't end how I wanted it to.
Yeah.
And
Get that.
And not having all sorts of regret about how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
It was really tough.
It can be a long road to come to peace with all
And
those
it took
kind
a
of things, right?
long-
Like you were kind of jokingly saying it earlier, like 20 years, but like I'm still coming to
It's
peace
not
with
a joke.
parts of my career.
For sure.
You know?
And it's like I said, it was really hard to talk about it. Just because the inevitable question of, oh yeah, you were so good in high school, but then where'd you go?
What happened to you?
Remember,
Right. Like that's
like, I was like,
sure.
So it's like, it's just not real. Not that, my experience there, I met good people. I'm still friends with the guys I played with.
Yeah.
But the on the field stuff, I wish it could have gone a lot different.
Sure.
And
I totally get that.
So all I can do about it now is try to impress upon my children,
Pass those along. Yeah.
and
Those
just
lessons.
say, don't leave any regret. And
Beautiful. Yeah.
we've had a lot of windshield time, driving to softball, and that's when we listened to some podcasts.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. So they've got to listen to a bunch of them, and I'm just like, listen to what this dude's saying. Like, he's not stopping, he's not quitting until he's going to do everything he can to make it. And like
that has been a theme with all these guys, right?
100%.
The guys that really made it, like
Yeah.
there's the same like steps along the way.
100%.
So similar.
And it was, a lot of it is, as we were talking about this the other day, like it's kids who weren't always the best player when they were younger,
right?
And had to, scrap and claw to be good. And then they grew and got big, and
100%.
they had that work ethic, and they just didn't let it go. So it's like, all those guys, and I played with a lot of those guys and have connections with them or seen them play. And just have a tremendous amount of respect for those guys that they were able to do that.
Love that.
And I'm guessing they look back at their careers and it's maybe, they're, maybe wish things would have worked out different, but I don't think they, have any regrets about the work they put in.
I agree.
The effort.
The Canadlers, the O'Malleys,
Yeah,
like those
for
kind of
sure.
guys.
Yeah,
That's
for
100%.
Without guys like you, I will say those guys don't do what they did.
Yeah.
Because it took a community of MFers around here that pushed guys to the limit, that made guys think, I can't stop because I know somebody's coming.
Yeah. So I think that's, as I get, my old age, I can kind of appreciate that a little bit more and,
Sure.
take some pride in that for sure.
And I have really appreciated your support, man. I love your text when you shoot me one. And are there any other questions? I don't have my list on me, and this kind of turned into the Adam Feld story, kind of like we didn't mean for it to, but it did.
Yeah.
Have there been any questions that you've heard me ask a guest that you want to answer that you think would be cool?
That's a good question. I wanted to make sure I got the movie in there. That was gosh, not off the top of my head.
It's okay.
Blank.
Then the last one I was going to ask you then was going to be, do you still consider yourself a baseball player? Is that part of your identity? You can look at that any way you want.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, probably less and less. Every year my daughters play softball.
Sure.
I've like almost like have transitioned more into that, I think. And again, like I don't get out to as many Glenwood games as I like to anymore. And just don't watch. Just gotten away from it. If I have time to watch a game, like I'm flipping through, especially in the spring, like flipping through ESPN and we're watching a softball game.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of where we're at right now. And I think I'll probably swing back when they're done playing.
Sure.
Whenever that is, swing back around and get back to baseball. But
when Jason Crew were like 9 or 10 years old, because Adam was coaching a team a year older, and we were chatting with him, and Adam walked by, and Corey Erickson and I were right there, and I said, fellas, that was the dude when we were coming up. And Corey looked and said, Adam, yeah, that was the dude. So you got that praise, from the dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, so again, like you take, for all the things that I have regrets about and have, I can take little things like that and, it makes you, listen, it's never, I don't think any of our careers were how they like turned out how you pictured them.
Very ideal. Yeah. How you'd want them, how you saw them at least.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually, Todd Schneller and I had been texting back and forth just about some various things. And he made the comment to me the other day and I was, I'd never really thought of it. But I was like, man, that's spot on. It was like, my baseball youth experience is like as good as it can get.
Yeah. Beautiful.
As good as it can get.
That's cool.
Yeah. Like I don't have, I had good coaches who didn't, who coached it the right way, who weren't crazy, youth baseball coaches that you see stories about. My own dad was never like that. And we've all heard horror stories about dads who are, the crazy baseball dads. And he was never like that. So I was super lucky to have that.
Can I put one question here? What was your favorite ejection you were ever a part of in a game, whether it was a coach, a player? Who was your favorite ejection? It's a person to watch get ejected in a game.
Favorite to get ejected?
Just you're in the game, you're either in the dugout, you're on the bump, and somebody gets tossed.
Dave Greer? I'm just kidding.
I've only thrown out one coach in my life, and it was Dave Greer twice. And that's not where I was going with this.
I feel like you're leading me on here for a question I should know, but I'm blanking on something.
It was Jason's grandfather.
Oh yeah,
Dick Schofield.
Yeah,
he got kicked out of more games than any coach of ours, any father of ours.
Yeah,
I've watched him get walked more parking lots than anyone.
my my favorite Grandpa Schofield story would have been, it was before a high school game.
Sorry.
It was at the current intermediate school. And I was warming up in the bullpen, and he was kind of standing there watching me warm up. And I had a tendency to maybe throw a little bit too much in the bullpen. I threw a ton of pitches, and like I wouldn't stop until I was like throwing perfect curveballs and spotting fastballs wherever I wanted. And sometimes that took a little longer than others. So this was one of those days where it probably took a little bit longer than others. And I'm talking, I probably threw 40 pitches to warm up. And I get done and I'm walking out, and I walk by him, and he looked at me and he goes, "You throw too effing much," and just walked away. And I was like, what? Like, there's no way. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. And so I was like, so then you start like thinking about it, I was like, I do throw a ton of pitches in there. And like, so I was like, it took a while, but I finally got a routine, and it probably wasn't, really good until I was in college, where I was like, oh, if I just warm my body up a little bit more before I actually started throwing. I was the classic, I threw to get loose.
Yeah.
I threw to get
ice cold to start throwing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So that, that was always something. And, but I always had one of those arms. I just had an arm I could just throw all day.
Yeah.
Cause when I grew up, that's all I did.
Love it. Yeah. All right, guys, this turned into the Adam Feld story. This was awesome. I'm going to pause it here just because the length of the video gets a little long here. So, hey, we appreciate this guy coming in, and we appreciate all the support, man. You've been awesome.
Yeah, appreciate
so
it.
cool,
Yeah.
my man.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, cool. All right. I'm going to pause.